Good evening, everybody. This is Unity News Network brought to you by Delivering Liberty. I hope everybody is cool and in the house. Currently live streaming from UNN's Rumble and UNN's D Live, as well as my own personal Delivering Liberty's YouTube channel. Hope everybody's good in the house. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, at least I'm not late. And gay this evening says Zion sucks baby penis. Wow, thank you. Always impressed by the by the names of the handles. Little Waste Angel, Jigsaw, Jogger, Ding Doo. Welcome everybody to the show. I'm on the show today. What I'm going to be doing is I was hoping to have two guests, but first I had two guests confirmed. Then there was no guests. And now we've met halfway, and now there's one guest. And that guest later is going to come on in about an hour's time, where he'll be broadcasting from Yankee Doodle Town, from America, from the colonies. Is Larry Sharp. He's been on the show before. He is the U.S. Libertarian Party's candidate for governor of New York. So, and he's a really interesting guy. You know, he actually is he seems like quite a pleasant guy, pretty cool. And he does straight talk as well. But obviously, we're going to be asking about the situation in New York, as well as his candidacy and the general state of America, to see what his perspectives are, and we're going to be asking. I'm going to try. You know what? I really want to get into it. I want to. Perhaps I'll keep the U.S. news topics until Larry gets on, so then I can get his perspective, his American libertarian perspective on what has happened over the last couple of days, and really just about. I mean, like the absolute. The slop-attainment at the moment coming from America, with things going on with, obviously with the Nick Fuentes and Piers Morgan stuff, as well as the Candice Owen. They're all fighting. All of them are fighting at the moment. It's actually quite hilarious. Someone says it here, like, oh, this is my Twitter here, is that you've got Tim Pool, like, and Candice Owen just currently just going at it at the moment. I don't agree with either. This is from funny enough, a libertarian account as well. It's not an official Libertarian Party account, but it's unofficially associated with it, called Being Libertarian. I like Tim and Candice. Can never say no. Is it Candice or Candace? Candace. I don't agree with either of them 100%, but a phenomenon of micro cults is beginning to form, and I do agree with it. I think many people can agree that they're all sort of built. You could say UNN's a bit of a cult in the sense of it's a loyal following, but I don't know what it is. America, they always go that bit further, don't they, with it? I don't agree with it, but a phenomenon of micro cults are beginning to form. Instead of fighting amongst the right and left, it has now turned into the right's influencer fan-based war. Tucker, Milo. Does Milo Yiannopoulos still have fans? I thought he was pretty much, he totally basically self-destructed, didn't he? But Tucker, Milo, Fuentes, and various MAGA influencer fanboys are other examples. It's weird. Does it seem manufactured, or are people just bored after the election? Well, it's definitely weird. Does it seem manufactured? I mean, my personal opinions of these individuals listed here, including Tim Pool. I've come to sort of see that a lot of influencers are essentially, a lot of them are basically, this is obviously my opinion, of course, a lot of them, I think, are, if they're not spooks, I think that a lot of them are con artists, I think. And because you have to understand, like, all politicians, all of Parliament, all of, like, up in Capitol Hill and all of that in America, all of these politicians, these people who are there, they're all con artists. They're con artists in suits, they're con artists who go, we know that all politicians, at least a high majority of them, like we're talking about 99% here, that most of them are just liars, deceivers, duplicitous. That they're people you just cannot trust at all. Snakes, and it's basically the better a con artist you are, the more you will succeed in society. And I think what it is that the sort of, obviously you've got the people, the con artists who have basically made it, and then you've got kind of up and comers. And I don't just include this in America, but you get people in, obviously, I think all of that, how can I say it? The alternative crowd. I don't know what you want. I know this is obviously an alternative show compared to the mainstream. But you look at that, especially that the Tommy Brigade bottom feeders, all of him and his ilk, they are just, in my opinion, just total con arse grifters. Especially people like Ricky Doolan, who's going around saying that he can perform miracles and heals people's legs, and then they just skip and hop away. It's all just a giant con. And it's like, it's becoming more and more obvious. Like, it's funny because I was in there's a Facebook group that I'm in. Again, I think I've said this before, where they're all basically lotus eaters, or at least sargoi of a cringe. They're all fans of Sargon, Carl Benjamin, etc., and all of that. And I put it in there, like I put that video in with Ricky Doolan, like healing a guy's leg. Where is it? Let's find it. I know David showed it last week. And I've been saying this guy is obvious. Remember last week I was obviously going about the whole Derek Decorum and Clinton. What is his name? Clinton Baptiste of Phoenix Nights. That one, the classic one of I'm getting the word nonce. Right? like they're so obviously like grifters and con artists. And I put that in the group, like literally time stamping that particular thing, saying like, look, this guy is he's so obvious, this guy, without a doubt, a shadow of a doubt, this guy is a grifter, right? He's a con artist. He's a snake oil salesman. He's the monorail guy from The Simpsons, right? And even this is how powerful the conditioning and propaganda and indoctrination from these alternative people is so powerful that even with obvious things like that, and keeping in mind, this is a group, this Sargon group are mostly atheistic sort of people. But even with that, because it's one of Tommy's people, they sort of don't, they still kind of defend these people. They still defend them and go, oh, well, I don't believe everything. I don't believe in that particular thing. But everything else is all right, though. You just go, come on, man. Like, really? Seriously? And it is. It's just, just to highlight what I'm saying in case people haven't seen this video. Let's see. Where is... Let me put this on and show you what I mean.
Gone, right?
Alhamdulillah, thanks, Lord.
Amen. God bless you. Really nice to talk to you. God bless. Brother, how are you? Can I pray for you? What's the problem? How did it happen?
It's accident.
Okay. Can I pray for you right now? And Jesus is going to heal your knee right now. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, I pray for this knee right now. I command all pain to leave, all ligaments to heal, all muscles to heal, all joints to heal in the mighty name of Jesus. Pain, I command you to leave in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. 100% healing right now in the name of Jesus Christ. Pain gone. Healing of the knee in the mighty name of Jesus.
Is he doing?
Now walk, brother. You're healed. You're healed. Walk.
What was it like before? Oh, I'll give you 9. Now I'll give 100%. Yes.
100%.
Yes.
How was you, baby?
My brother.
So even with that, I know it like Greg Rockford. This is like some kind of sketch from the Fast Show. Yeah, it is actually like the whole of the I want to call it alternative. I hate using left and right. People say the right. The whole of the right is just an absolute clown show at the moment. Like, it's anyone that is a social. Like, if I was still, I removed myself from that. Like, I just cannot be part like of that. But even people who, even the ones that you might not consider too extreme, like Nick Tenconi, I want to talk about as well, is that they're all just total charlatans of what they're doing, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Oh, like if honest, like if gun to my head, right, and I had to choose, it was like a Hobson's choice of one or the other, right, and it was, hey, would you like to hang around with Ricky Doolan or Owen Jones? Gun to head, I think I would actually stand with Owen Jones, because as bad as Owen Jones is, he is just not that cringe compared to all of the Tommy Brigade lot. They're an absolute, like, I'm going to that march on Saturday in London, and we're going to pass them. I think I don't know how it's going to operate. And I, like, in my head, when we march past them or whatever's going to happen, in my head, it's just going to be the circus music. It's just going to be the clown. Like they're having like a Christmas Carol event, and all I'm just going to be thinking as we're walking past them is like we're looking at Ricky Doolan, Nick Tinconi. Who are the others? Based and Boogie. Like all of them. Like, I'm just going to be walking past them, just like, and I'm going to be like, I've never seen those people before. I'm just going to be, I don't know them. I was never associated with them. But like that's how embarrassing that these people have become now. It genuinely is just, yeah, Liam Tufts, yeah, probably be standing next to Footlong, yeah. That was Footlong, you're right. You're right, Jigsaw. That guy. That was Footlong. That he wasn't actually, that wasn't his leg he was holding. That was something else. that was his third leg. That was, he goes, let me just hear you, man. Let me just get that pain out of that Footlong. Yeah. Oh. Let me just get that out. Just get it. Yeah. The power of Jesus, baby. Yeah, it's gonna get you out. You know what? That is Footlong. We've discovered Footlong here, and that's not it. That's not his leg. that's actually something else. That's Liam Tuft's mate, Footlong. So it is generally a just enormous clown show that is being part of it. And let me. I really want to. You know what? I can just bounce around on anything around here, because it's all the whole. I mean, Tim Paul and Candy. So where's what I don't like is, let's just stick with British news for a minute. Stick with British news before we go into, because again, I can sort of, we can kill two birds with one stone and ask obviously Larry as well about his personal perspective on what's going on in America. I want to talk about that. This is because again, Tommy Robinson and Fiona Rose Diamond are having a bit of a I'll resist. I'll resist talking about American stuff, right? This is what I'm talking about, right? I've spoken to Nick Tenconi in the past. I think, did I do an interview with him once? I think I did. I did an interview with him outside Elephant and Castle tube station once, a few years ago, a couple of years ago, or it was a live stream or something, right? So Nick Tenconi, I think, on the back of what you could consider the success of what is being branded as Operation Overlord, which is, let me just show you what Operator, in case people don't know. I think there's 3 individuals. I know one of them is Danny Tomo, who I'm sure, again, another Tommy Robinson bottom feeder, him and a guy called Ryan Bridge, and there's another chap as well, but I can't remember his name at the time being. they term Operation Overlord. So obviously this is again feeds into the kind of World War II fetish porn that we, in my opinion, really need to get over. And I know it's obviously indoctrinated into our mind every day by propaganda, by non-stop ending of Hitler documentaries on whatever bloody. I mean, I don't even have a TV anymore, but even when I did, I remember there was every week there was a documentary about that particular moustached individual all the time. Various World War II films, like constant reruns of Dad's Army, like everything, there's always stuff about World War II going on, coming out of the propaganda machine known as Hollywood. All the time, there's stuff coming out. Obviously, every Remembrance Day, where I think it's time we stop remembering. Like at this point, it's just going on too long, and it's really stagnating our society in terms of advancement. I think it really has just put us back almost a century, where we just don't really move on anymore from it, and we're just stagnated. So these two tough guys who are, again, dressed up as in paramilitary attire to make it seem like they're patriotic. See, this, I've said this before, I'm always highly skeptical of people who dress up with their flags and and give the impression that they're patriots. And I always I take the impression that I think these guys are overcompensating for something that they actually lack, which is actual real patriotism. And I think it is really a con dressed up as in a patriotic flag with a British flag around it, but it is overall a scam. So they term Operation Overlord. Ryan Bridge on the left here has been charged with a £40 million fraud, and Danny Tomo has been to prison for various drug and violence offences, including kidnap. What are they protecting us from? Is it themselves? I've put this, is that it's getting more and more likely Raise the Colours is a scam. Although the illegal migrant crisis is indeed real, these two big grifters, Ryan Bridge and especially Danny Tomo, are known as wrong-uns. They're known wrong-uns, right? Bridge was previously found guilty for a £40 million scam, and Tomo is such a scumbag and probably a police informant due to his checkered past. Because obviously, like the whole what they that's like a free strike rule. If you go more than 3 offences or whatever, it's like they'll send you away. They'll lock you up for a long time. You do real hard time, right? Or you can work for us. That's usually the bargain, isn't it? Tomo is known to turn up at a protest or football games, cause trouble, and instigate a call for violence, only then to conveniently leave where others get arrested. I have personally witnessed this in real time in the past. I've witnessed it a couple of years ago. Was it during the? I think it was the aftermath of the Southport killings, where we were it was in Downing Street. I don't know if people remember that, and even Tyrant Finder will back me up on this as well. I think that was also the same process that that guy Ash. Many believe he was signaling the police with his hat. If people remember that. It was the same process that Danny Tomo was also there. And I witnessed that guy really rile up the crowd. And then he foxtrots off. And then loads of people got arrested. There was a kettle soon after. So this is what I've witnessed with it. Now these supposed trustworthy individuals always conveniently find migrants coming off dinghies in an almost cartoonish fashion. Very suspicious. They are now grifting for £100,000 from the followers to fund their Operation Overlord. Did I see that? GB News, they have stopped sharing. I lost light now. They've stopped talking about Operation Overlord apparently, because supposedly they were using footage from the Danny Tomo kind of whatever their footage Why GB News has stopped sharing Raise the Colors? People have noticed something interesting. GB News has quietly stopped showing Raise the Colors daily finds, dingy clips, and dramatic seaside discoveries. No mentions, no segments, no shout outs. So what's changed? After looking at the timeline, speaking with journalists, and watching how GB News shifted its output, the picture becomes pretty clear, and none of it looks good for Raise the Colors. One, GB News is already in deep water from Ofcom. GB News is currently under multiple Ofcom investigations for misinformation and broadcasting failures. In fact, Ofcom went as far as ruling that GB News cannot legitimately describe itself as a news channel due to its repeated breaches of impartiality and accuracy rules. So even with the ethics firmly planted in the right-wing arena, GB News still had to refuse Raise the Colors content because airing it would pile on even more regulatory trouble. Raise the Color footage fails basic journalism standards. GB News producers now have to verify location, timing, context, and whether an incident actually happens at all. Because I've seen some of these videos, and they just conveniently find these boats all the time. Like it's every day. And even though obviously this does happen, I'm beginning to think that the Raise the Color people are staging these fines, and how these people just happen to be there and they round them up and detain them and all of this physically. And I think it's all a con. I think just like how Ricky Doolan healed that Muslim looking guy, I think that it's a plant essentially. I think these people are all basically actors. Well, not actors in the sense that they're like, that you can hire them, but in the sense that look, they've just gone to some people, hey, look, we'll give you like 50 quid each or whatever if you just. This is all just my opinion, right? So GB News has become a liability, and Raise the Color has become a reliability. Exaggerated claims, conveniently timed fines, accusations with no evidence, sensational narration, a donation-based model that raises eyebrows. Broadcasters have to avoid anything that looks like a grift, fabrication, a political stunt. Raise the Colors is now all free. GB News doesn't want to be sued. In a Raise the Colors video, later turns out to be falsified, staged, defamatory, or illegally filmed. GB News gets the complaint. GB News gets the Ofcom penalty. GB News gets the legal bill. So basically, GB News has essentially dropped to Raise the Colors because they do not trust the legitimacy of Raise the Colors, and I think it is a very, very big grift. But these guys, this Ryan Bridge and Danny Tomon, there's another guy as well who I can't recall his name. I think it's Steve something. They're actually making money. I know people who are quite in love with the Raise the Colors Operation Overlord thing. They go, oh, it's doing great work. They're doing great work. So I think based on that, Nick Tenkoni, the UKIP leader, and I think still associated with Turning Point UK, he, I think, has decided to cash in on this because it's the exact same model, although it's not saying anything about Operation Overlord or anything to do with Danny Tomo or Raise the Colors. It seems to be an independent operation separate from Raise the Colors and Operation Overlord. So this is Nick Tenkoni.
I am stood here in northern France, in Calais. We promised you to bring teams of men over to stand up to the traffickers and to say you shall not pass. The British and the French government are complicit. We have raised just over £16,000. A huge thank you from myself and the team. Vests like the one I'm wearing, £300. Accommodation. We have to hire cars because we can't be over here with British plates because you stick out like a sore thumb. Everything about this mission, everything about this operation, me being out here doing reconnaissance, all of it costs money. We refuse to allow migrants to come into Britain illegally. We must make a stand. We must complete our mission. We say no mercy, no diplomacy. and no surrender. Please get behind the fundraiser. Please. We wanted 50,000. We've raised just over 16,000. If everyone chips in, we can continue this operation. We can continue the reconnaissance, and we can continue to stand up against the traffickers and showcase to you, Britain, just what Christian courage, activism, and duty looks like.
UKIP's border protection mission. We are reaching out to you today. Again, you've got QR code, everything. We're reaching out to you today to support a crucial initiative by the UK, by UKIP, to secure our borders and protect our people. In light of the ongoing invasion of Britain, UKIP has conducted its first operation in the north of France, collaborating with the French police to locate and stop boats from crossing the channel. Hang on a minute, but I thought it said in the video that they had to hire private plates in order to dodge the authority. Did he not say that? But now he's working, but now they're collaborating with the French police. I mean, first of all, I would never work with the coppers no matter what. Sorry, mate. Do not work with the police. They are your enemy, okay? Do not work with the police. To locate and stop boats from crossing the channel. We urgently need your support to continue this mission and ensure the safety of our communities. Your generosity will enable us to maintain designated teams and rotors in the north of France, working tirelessly to prevent the dangers of illegal crossings. Wow, Nick Tanconi sure does get about, don't he? Is he really in the north of France all the time? He's apparently going to be in Dover on Saturday and probably in London with this Christmas Carol nonsense in central London with the Tommy Tards. So I don't know where he's getting that information from. Is that the end of the video? So, see, what I don't like is, right, and I said this on the show on Unprecedented TV yesterday, right? The reason why I think Nick Tanconi is just a Christian grifter, I don't mean that to offend Christians. What I mean is he is using Christianity as the basis for his grift, because unfortunately, as you see in America all the time, there's all pastors and Christian leaders, just like Ricky Doolan, that are like that all the time, and they grift and lie and con and make millions and millions and millions of quid, using dishonest tactics in the name of God, etc., and all of this. Right? It's actually really disgusting, and I don't think this guy's really any different to that. I've said this. Nick Tanconi, the scammer. Not only has he been funded by Zionist millionaires via Turning Point UK. Again, this is the sister organization of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization. It's known to be funded by Jewish and Zionist billionaires who are only interested in preserving Israel, a different country, nothing to do with us. But it's all about basically in my opinion, getting people to convert to Christianity and be slavishly dogmatic and loyal to Israel, and constantly revert to Jewish people as a higher being, the chosen people, everything. And that's what it's all about. And that's why I don't agree with the whole Jesus is king thing and all of that, because ultimately you are worshiping a Jewish individual. That's what it's all about. All of the apostles were Jewish, Abraham was Jewish, Jesus, everything was about it. And it's all about focusing on that particular land in the Middle East and preserving it and protecting it. And that's all it's about. That's all it's about. And people like Robert Shillman, who's given money to Tommy Robinson and Nick Tanconi and various other people in the past, they're all paid. In my opinion, these people like Tanconi, they are traitors. They are traitors to the UK. They put their religion above the country. And people might think, oh, well, I do that as well. It's like, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Your country comes first, not your personal religion. Because if you put your religion before your country, how can I say, it's like the question where they say, would you be happy with what do they say, like 100 of your countrymen versus 100 of none of your countrymen, but they are the same religion as you. And most people, unfortunately, will say, "I'll be okay with the 100 Christians who are not indigenous to this land." They will. They'll put it above it, and I think that is not the right way to do it. And I think that is purposely done in order to crush any kind of form of patriotism, nationalism, whatever you want to call it. So it's, and again, I don't recognize Christianity as an indigenous religion to this land. Oh, it's been around 1,500 years. So what? If we're taking the line, like I said last week, we're taking the step that even if someone's been here for 3 generations and they're still not English or British, then why don't we apply that to the religion of this land, i.e. Christianity? Christianity is not indigenous to this land; it's foreign. Like we need if we're using these standards, if it's good for the goose, then it's good for the gander, right? So, as I said here, not only has it been funded by Zionist millionaires via Turning Point UK, but UKIP itself is a scam. It's a zombie. UKIP is a zombie party. People say, why does it still exist? Why does it still exist? Well, it's the same reason why the BNP still exists. It still exists on paper. It doesn't really field any candidates. It's not really interested in being elected at all. The only reason why it exists and it stays as a zombie party is because it is still collecting money from dead people's wills. So back when UKIP was an actual force to be reckoned with, when Nigel Farage was the leader and all of that, and it was coming second and third in elections, and even in some occasions actually winning elections. It had European Parliament MEPs, it had various councils, all of that, and same with BNP. Like elderly people thought that, hey, this is going to be, I believe in this party. It's actually returning the party to how I used to remember it when I was younger, and all of this, and then they promised money to those parties via their wills. And obviously that has to go through a process, a legal process, a civil process that could take some years. And the only reason why these parties exist is to collect that money. So people like Nick Tenkoni, who's the leader of UKIP and probably sits on a national committee, executive committee, as well as others, they are, in my mind, no doubt, they are collecting on that money, and they are probably laundering that money, and they are receiving that money probably, because they're not doing anything useful with UKIP, they're not doing anything useful with the BNP, etc. They're only collecting money because of these people's wills, and that is a scam. That is dishonest and immoral. And this guy goes around claiming that he's a principled moral Christian. Sorry, mate, that doesn't wash with me. They're doing this for money reasons and money reasons only. So now he's asking for cash for this scam. Illegal migration is a drop in the ocean to excessive legal migration. Like, who cares about these boats? Illegal migration is a drop in the ocean. It's the legal migration that's the problem. Yeah, I said that once about the BNP. Yeah, it still does get money from wills. That's the funny thing about it. It still receives money, dead people's money, essentially inheritance, everything. It still gets it to this day. I wanted to have on. There was a guy yesterday, Simon. What's his name? Simon Tomlin. His Daily Agenda UK is his YouTube channel. Apparently, he's got some beef with David Clues, but David Clues doesn't really have a clue what he's on about. He was meant to be on the show Unprecedented yesterday, and it hold my hands up. It was ultimately my responsibility why he didn't come on, because I was given a link. I was sent him that link, and it wasn't the right link, basically the guest link. And by the time I saw his messages on Twitter, because I was doing the show waiting for him to come on, by the time I actually looked at his messages on Twitter, he had basically got the hump, and he had kind of basically stormed off. show very prickly character, interesting but very prickly character. But he just, I don't have, my time is busy. And I thought, wow, typical kind of boomer. I thought, just like, you know what I mean? Like, my time's busy. I've got other things to do. It's like, well, you would have been on the show. So what do you mean? You would have been on the show for at least half an hour, and it was only 10 minutes that I kept you waiting. Or whatever it was, 15, 20. So, I mean, not being funny, but if that's the attitude of some people, that this is why, look, you got to be able to work with people, and if you're just a bolshy kind of, you're gonna get emotional about stuff like that, then in my opinion, you're just not going to get anywhere. That's not that I'm saying I'm some big success or anything, but that's my experience from seeing people, working with people in the past, is that if you've got a bad attitude, bad behavior, people just aren't going to work with you. You can't just, we're not in the military, mate. No one's going to respect that kind of behavior. Yeah, well, that's just, well, not your words, not mine, Greg. But interesting. I'm not saying that I how can I say it? He does come across as a bit authoritarian, but he's an interesting guy nevertheless. And I would have been interested to get his perspective on the BNP, because he is at the moment trying to take over the BNP from the outside, essentially. He's put a plan in. Also, I wanted to hear his practical solution of remigration, because I'm not convinced on anyone's remigration policy. I think personally, I think Steve Law's plan is unworkable. I don't know what this Simon Tomlin's plan is properly, because I don't really watch his videos religiously or anything, just every now and then. So I don't know the whole story, but I don't think it's workable. I think that really, I think the only person that I've actually heard a reasonable chat regarding the topic is actually Nick Griffin, where he said, "Look, we're not going to remigrate. Like, we're not going to start snatching people off the street and all of that, because that is totally ridiculous and it's just stupid. I wouldn't want that. That's just like I think that promising stuff like that is hopium levels of delusion. I think what you would need to say is that, look, there needs to be an agreement that the people who are here, they're here, and that's it, right? But in terms of like the border, then and migration, it needs to be stopped, and then whoever's here is here, and that's it. There can't be any of this kind of, oh, we're just going to like throw them on a boat and just tell them to go away, even though they've lived here all their life. Or, do you know what I mean? It's just it's ridiculous. It's just not going to happen. And I'm not saying that from like from a liberal kind of perspective. It's just, I'm being realistic here. It's just stuff like that won't happen. And if you do push that kind of stuff, it's just going to backfire in your face, because there'll just be people talking about a civil war and stuff. Hey, that would cause it. And you know what? I'm not being funny. Even Nick Griffin said, it's like, white people wouldn't win. They're not organized. Do you know what I mean? They just wouldn't win. They like, white people get their absolute arses handed to them from the organized communities. True. I'm not. Look, I'm being honest with you here. No, that can't be true, contractor. What, UKIP is worth that amount of money? No, that's got to be. You've got to be joking, right? Surely. Is that 130 million quid? Or is that really? I don't. No, surely not. Surely not. Well, you can see. I can see if that's the case. I can see why Nick Tanconi is like the leader of UKIP then, because I think in order to get the money from all of the wills, etc. What was going to go? Yeah. So that is.
I am stood here in northern France.
So so this is just one example of that whole alternative crowd the faux patriotism, the faux Christianity, the faux morality people. I think we did come up with a sort of better word for them. Or at least I do. Anyway, so speaking of that, he's the head honcho of it. At the start of this video, where was it? There was it's something interesting that Tommy said straight away. 10 seconds into this video, I get to the proper video of it. This is just a clip. Someone's clipped it from within that video. So obviously we had David had a watch party with Nick Fuentes on Piers Morgan's show. Piers Morgan, just because he has left. What was he on? What was the show he was on? So Talk TV, wasn't it? Talk TV he was on. He had the show Piers Morgan Uncensored, right? It wasn't really getting any views. Again, that's how you can. That's how you know that most of these people are just manufactured. And it left. It wasn't getting the right revenue it wanted to, and it basically left. And it went on YouTube. And like the Operation Mockingbird thing, it simply went from one form of media to the next form of media, and it's Mark II now, right? So, Talk TV is ultimately owned by News Corp, which is Rupert Murdoch's, Rupert Murdoch's thing, right?
Dilemma. Mass.
Piers Morgan then went independent on YouTube, where apparently his biggest sponsor was investor into his private YouTube, how do you say it, venture, right? A venture capital kind of excursion. His biggest investor is Rupert Murdoch still. Rupert Murdoch is basically the financial backer of Piers Morgan Uncensored on YouTube. So we can say with absolute certainty on that knowledge that Piers Morgan is not alternative. Just as we can say that Candice Owens is not alternative. They are not counter-establishment. We'll go into the whole Candice Owens thing maybe when Larry Sharp comes on. But Piers Morgan is definitely not counter-establishment. Would we say that's accurate? People in the chat, would we say that is an accurate statement that Piers Morgan is not counter-establishment, that he is not alternative in the alternative cycle or sphere? Would we say that? Tenconi just wants to look like Sean. True. He's my doppelganger. Just like how Danny Roscoe is actual coverage is Sir Roger's a doppelganger, right? There are alternatives, yes. So Just Muzzy says yes. Contractor says he's a security asset. Piers Morgan is. Morgan once worked for Murdoch, for goodness sake. Yep. Okay, we are, right? We can all say that, right? He's no way alternative. He's more like an LBC presenter, says Oksana. Right, okay, cool. So listen to what Tommy says within the first 10 seconds of this video, right? If this is the right video, that is.
Dilemma. Massive dilemma. I was meant to be at Trigonometry's Christmas party tonight, yeah? Piers Morgan's going to be there. Mike, paedophile supporter, Graham is going to be there. And I'm on the way to Norway. I'm gutted, man. Christmas party.
Trigonometry Christmas party. Yeah? So constant kissing. What's that Francis guy? The other one. And at the party is going to be establishment, Rupert Murdoch, Mike Graham. They're all at the party. I mean, if this is is not further. Like, is Tommy controlled? like, as soon as I heard that, within the first 10 seconds, like, oh, gutted. I'm gonna miss the. God, can you think of a worse fucking Christmas Christmas party? Trigger party with Christmas party with trigonometry, constant kissing. Ew. Ew, it's woke rights. Oh, it's the woke rights. And all of this. And Piers Morgan. Oh, and Mike Graham. I'll tell you a story, right? Mike Graham. Me and Mike Graham actually shared a bottle of red wine once. This is actually true. Yeah, exactly. Paul MC, the Zionist circle jerk. Yeah, circle jerk party. Yeah. Probably will be jerking each other off as well. Yeah, I actually did share a bottle of red wine with Mike Graham once. It's actually a true story. It was this is when, again, a few years, this is in the before time, BC, before COVID. This was when I was a bit of a political shill. And he I think we were at Maya Tusi's, one of his parties. I don't know what it was. Like, it was in a pub, no, sorry, not a pub. It was in a bar, I should say. It was in the basement of some club of some sort. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember where it was. But yeah, Mike Graham, I think he bought himself a bottle of red, which is very believable of having seen his tweets. Basically, what happened a few weeks ago is that Mike Graham probably got pissed up on some red wine, and then he actually just told the truth. Do you know what I mean? Like, in his perspective, he just went, "Oh, whatever." He probably got Dutch courage, and then obviously it's totally backfired on him. And he got sacked. It wasn't Merlot. I don't know what it was. Maybe, no, it wouldn't have been Merlot. I wouldn't be drinking that shite. Would have been probably. It would. I'm a Shiraz guy, if I had to say. So it's probably that, or maybe some Malbec. I don't know. But I mean, yeah. So that. But he basically got so, and he does get like that. Having seen it, he gets pissed and he gets more looser. Well, they say loose lips sink ships. It certainly did with Mike Graham's career, didn't it? So, but don't worry, he'll be in the auto. He's moved now to he's gone from Operation Mockingbird Mark 1, and now he's going to Mark 2 to the YouTube world, the controlled YouTube world. So yeah, it's just when I heard this, I just thought that is absolutely hilarious. Like, just on the back of the whole Nick Fuentes thing as well.
I was meant to be at Trigonometry's Christmas party tonight. Yeah, Piers Morgan's going to be there. Mike, paedophile supporter, Graham.
If someone said to me, "You want to go to a party? Piers Morgan's going to be there." I'll say, "I won't be going to that party now." Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's that would make me want to not go to the party. If trigonometry, constant kissing and do you know, I'm going to London, and there was a party in London, like a little, whatever, freedom, whatever thing, like, again, in a bar, right, somewhere, right? And I saw the list of people. I thought, oh, yeah, maybe I'll go to that because I want to go to the March on Saturday. So I thought, is anything going on Friday night? And I saw that, and then I saw the guest of people, and I just went, I'm not going to that party, mate. I saw that they had that Montgomery Toms, Will, I was just GB. I was just like, no, I'm not going. Definitely straight away. I was like going, yeah, it's going to be a party, and I read it, and then I just thought, no, I'm not going to that. I'm sorry, I don't go to paid protesters. You know what I mean? All those sort of paid protester guys. The thing is, you're essentially buying. How can I say it? You're buying. You're buying. Their activism comes with a price tag. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you can tell that they don't really believe in what they're talking about. It's all just a performance. It's based on performance. It's all a bit of a circus with them lot. And I know this because you judge someone by their actions, not by what they say. And although people like Monty Toms and all of them lot, like Defiance Records, all these sort of groups, Free Seed and all of that, is that they talk the big game, but I know deep down they don't give a damn about their principles, because it all comes with online payments. It comes with QR codes. It makes me laugh that the whole thing about Saturday is about digital ID, And the whole thing about that is also about paying with cash. You know, physical cash and the digital ID stuff is kind of like tied together, you know. And they're going to have a freedom party, and they're getting everyone to basically register online and pay online in advance. And there's no kind of option. There's no like cash is king kind of thinking, because it's all about money, 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 money with them. And you're basically, when you got a paid activist, it's essentially a mercenary that you're getting. They're not really, whereas I don't really need money to motivate me. Money is not a motivator to me. It's about morals and principles. But with them, it's the other way around. Their morals and principles take a back seat, and it's all about the money. And that's I can't. To me, that really kind of I get that really bothers me with that kind of stuff. So, especially with the whole connection with Together, Adam Miller's Together, another Zionist, you know what I mean, and all of that. And it's just nah, sorry, mate, not my cup of tea at all. So I'd rather go somewhere else. So anyway, yeah. So basically, Tommy was saying that. What's this? This is a clip that something. Just to be clear, speaking of digital ID, just to clear things up, there's been talk about the Unite the Kingdom Christmas service overlaps with a digital ID process. Not true. Tommy Robinson, the era, shows the evidence that the Unite the Kingdom date was locked in on the 10th of November, long before anyone even announced a protest. Okay.
And let me tell you what the confusion is. In fact, let me get up while we're sitting here. You might have to pause this, but let me get UTK Christmas. Because, as usual, the rumour mill, or the conspiracy theorists are out. There's a digital ID protest happening on the 13th of December, something that I fully support. Not the digital ID, protesting against it and stopping it, okay? Let me tell you something. I don't have a bank account and can't get one in England without the digital ID. Do you know they closed my son's bank accounts 2 weeks ago? My son, he's 16, without a digital ID, okay? My life is pretty hard to live without the digital ID. So let me see. I know somewhere, Richard. Okay, so let's have a quick look at this. So this is set up on the 7th of the 11th, so 7th of November, okay? 7th of November. On the 10th of November, which is where we start messaging, we're here, Richard Inman.
The main thing is, lads, we need to get a date nailed down. Now, Aidan can't do the 20th. So
Aidan can't do the 20th. So they're having to do it on the 13th. So it's Aidan's fault.
It's obviously still going to be massive Christmas shopping time, so there's still going to be a in the town. So yeah, is that the 13th work? That's the old bill.
So the 13th of December was agreed on the 10th of November, okay? It wasn't picked to coincide with any digital ID demonstration. Stop going down the rabbit hole too much, okay? I support everyone protesting against the digital ID, but I also think that this country should have a really symbolic, just like Poland does, a really symbolic Christmas event. And our government should have done that. Trafalgar Square should have been filled with Christmas carols, with a big light switch on, but a real one, not the pathetic thing they've done. Have you seen the Christmas tree in Trafalgar Square? Oh, it's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. But what do you expect from an Islamist mayor who's in control of the budget and control of organising these things? So that's just a quick update for me. I am going to Norway, then I'm coming back, and then I want to see everybody this Saturday, the 13th of December, in central London, near Whitehall, for Christmas carols.
Okay. Right. Let's just shut that down. Shut it down. Let's just shut it down. Shut that down for a sec, right? Let me get. So this is what Fiona Rose Diamond has said, okay? There wasn't on the show earlier, but she's just not coming on, right? Which is fair enough. So this is a message that she managed to get his number. I mean, look, people go, oh, how did he get his number? Look, I've got lots of people's numbers too. I don't have Tommy Robinson's number, but I do have a lot of people's numbers, right? You get to know people, right? Okay. So anyway, so Fiona Rose Diamond here, organizer of massnoncompliance.com and the protest happening on the 13th of December. This was sent on the 17th of November, right? So yes, so it's after. I heard you had something planned for that day. Thought it worth connecting as I'm currently confirming locations and timing for our protest. Drop a message when you can if you're happy. Thanks, Mush. Right? She says she calls me Mush, but right, she calls everyone that. 19th of November. You can contact me directly. This is again Fiona. You can contact me directly. Don't need to go via the police to ask them to ask me to move my protest. So this is what she said now. Okay, I really didn't want to do this, but Tommy Robinson says, "quote The conspiracy theorists are out." So he said that in that video we just watched. The conspiracy theorists are out. Says he has receipts. Okay, so do I. So clearing up the rumors, the mass non-compliance protest against digital ID announced publicly on the 22nd of November. Sorry, the 22nd of October, immediately after the success of the 18th of October. And I have seen that. She did. I remember that was announced on the 22nd of October. After the success of the 18th of October, Met Police called me on the 17th of November, almost a month later, to notify me Tommy Robinson was organising something small down a side street off Whitehall. Sorry, I'm just being immature there. On the 13th of December. I text Tommy, he ignored it on the 19th of November. But this is a guy who's allegedly the enemy of the state, right? Literally has a book out, a biography book called Enemy of the State, and the guy's working with the state. The police are doing his bidding, right? Okay, the enemy of the state. They hate him so much that they'll be his personal, his PR, basically his personal receptionist, right? He ignored it on the 19th of November. Met Police called again on Tommy's behalf to ask me to move. I refused. I text Tommy again. He ignored it. Is that it? Is that all of it? Oh, sorry. Today, I had another call from the police. When was this tweet put up? This tweet was put up, I think it was today or something, right? Today, I had another call from the police. It is demonstrably clear that they have a hard-on for Robinson. Oh, I bet, right? They remember when Tommy supposedly got attacked at where was it? Not King's Cross, was it? Where was it? St. Pancras, right? And he supposedly got attacked. Remember he said he called up like his liaison officer, a guy that he called Steve or something like that. He would go, "Oh yeah, I called up Steve," and you could hear him on the phone with him and all of this, and it was just like, oh my god, yeah, wow, enemy of the state, this guy, yeah, he's the state approved rebel, this guy, right? So, today's call was so ridiculous, laughable, and blatantly obstructive that it honestly felt like intentional sabotage. At this point, I generally can't tell whether the Met Police are working for Tommy or Tommy's working for them. It's no doubt in my mind a mutual relationship going on. Either way, whatever this circus was meant to achieve, it won't. Further, whether he began planning on the 10th, 17th, or 19th of November, he announced on the 30th of November, 6 weeks after me. It's petty as F, and the way the police bend over backwards for him with their unfathomable, incoherent, and absurd policing plans to prosperous, is it? I can't help but wonder why. Note, my message to him was purely out of curiosity against my better judgment. Events or protests happening on the same day in London doesn't bother me. I'm used to it. I've been organising for nearly 6 years, but this entire charade stints to high heaven. I wonder why he doesn't talk about digital ID. If he says he supports action against it, I suppose it's because Israel has a hard-on for digital ID, just like the Met Police do for Tommy. But hey, I'm just a conspiracy theorist. All calls with police are recorded. So yes, let's clear up the rumors. shall we? And that is the. I wanted to have Fiona on, but I think she's had she just can't come on. She's not feeling well. Let's put it like that. Okay. So yeah, that's going to be this Saturday. So it's going to be quite interesting. It's going to be, it's going to be a bit of, like I said, I've said this before about protests. I don't think they have the desired effects that they're meant to have. That you are petitioning Parliament, you are protesting Parliament. Parliament have no interest, especially in this particular subject. They do not want to roll back the digital ID. Larry, I do see you there, mate. I'm going to add you very soon. You can finish this segment. I saw, and this is why I have absolutely zero faith in the protests themselves. I go personally for networking, for catching up with people. It is a big show of strength, I suppose. But in terms of the desired effect of trying to overturn Parliament, their decisions, I think the whole of the democracy is essentially an illusion. I think that it's just made to seem like that people have some kind of power, but they really don't have any power. It's all basically just to, how can I say, it's to appease people and make them not get off their chair and actually do something worthwhile, in my opinion, of course. Now, where did I see that? Where was this? I always get confused between my Twitter and my Telegram. Where is what happened to Fiona? So there was the parliamentary debate occurred on, was it Monday? It was Monday, wasn't it? Yes, it's Wednesday today. Yeah, so it was. So the parliamentary debate, there was a petition put out, which no doubt Anthony Webber was very excited about, right? There was a petition put out. It reached over 3 million signatures, and the rules are that if you get 10,000 signatures, an official response from Parliament. If you get 100,000 signatures, they don't have to have a debate. There's official UK parliamentary petitions have no power at all to make Parliament have a debate or do anything. Parliament essentially, in reality, Parliament again will usually cherry pick the petitions that they want to debate if it reaches 100,000. But in this particular case, because it would be unwise for them to not have the debate about it. Let's put it like that, right? They have to give the illusion that people to continue the illusion to the people who are not too awake or too aware of what's going on, that the sheeple, what might be known as the NPCs, that they have to continue the illusion that obviously that we live in a liberal, functioning democratic society. So, where the hell was it? So when it reaches 100,000 signatures, they are supposedly meant to have a debate, right? And there was a debate. It reached 3 million. It reached 3 million signatures, and Parliament had a debate. However, what it is, and I've been to one of these before, is that what happens is that you think that, oh, it's in the House of Commons. There'll be, like you see part of PMQs, Prime Minister's Question Time, where you see all that you see. It's not even done in the main Commons, the main chamber of the House of Commons. It is literally the debate, this one that reached 3 million signatures, just like all of the others. It is held in a back room in Parliament, a relatively small room, may I add, a relatively small room, where there'll be about 10 to 20 MPs, if you're lucky. In this case, they looked like there were 20 MPs. That will basically, you will see, if you are allowed in, if you actually get the opportunity to actually get into one of these very small rooms where there is only a seat capacity of 18 seats. So if you are lucky to be one of the 18 people who are in that room, in front of you will you will witness a pantomime performance of, let's just go with the 20 MP thing, if you're lucky. 10 MPs will be for and 10 MPs will be against. And in front of you, you will be entertained by a puppet performance by these MPs. And then people go home, like, no doubt Anthony Webber will go home and think that I've done something worthwhile. I've got a couple of a few MPs to basically debate and entertain me for 2 hours or whatever the whatever the time limit is of this debate. So this is it. Here we are. I found it. I remember it was on Facebook, right? I've said here, reminder, this is what a petition produces when it reaches 100k signatures. A back room in Parliament where the theatre of about 10 or 20 MPs debate into a public audience of a max capacity of 18 seats. Do people still think petitions work? I do not. This. Basically, obviously, Fiona went to it. She's one of the 18. What made me think, she said, what made me think I could endure the theatre? I was removed and escorted from Parliament, muted and manned to boot. I will not watch MPs reduce our future to rehearsed lines and smug laughter and intellectual fraud masquerading as governments. I don't know whether this is actually the penny has dropped for Fiona. Again, I wanted to have her on the show to actually discuss this. Is this because when I actually went in, one I went in for was a really random one. It was an animal rights one. There wasn't. I was just asked, "Do you want to go into this?" I was interviewing some people outside, and they said, "I went, yeah, sure. Let's see how it works." And I was actually quite blown away about how just just the theatre of it. Like Parliament's empty. Like people don't know that. Like they see that big building, Parliament, Big Ben, and all of that, and they see this huge, the Palace of Westminster, and you go in, and most of it's empty. So you know what it's like? It's like like an old Western, an American Western. Like they have the sets, the Western cowboy sets, and they're all just like only one side of the houses, like the bars and all that. There's only one side to them because it's a film set, and it's just, it's to give it the illusion that there's more, that it's 3D, but it's actually only 2D. Do you know what I mean? That's basically Parliament. There's nothing inside Parliament. It's empty. It's a ghost town. There's nothing in there. It's just you can hear the echoes of your footsteps as you're walking along. And again, it just fuels that belief of mine that it really is just a puppet theatre. It's a total illusion. There's no one there. Most of the rooms are empty and everything. It is a ghost town. And you finally find a room that they're having a debate in, and then you just watch and you just think, oh my God, this is just a con in front of me. I'm actually watching a con unfold in front of me. So I don't know whether this is the first time that Fiona's actually gone to one of these. I'm not too sure. Masquerading as governments, they know this is above the level of the level of nation while pretending otherwise. If we don't crush digital ID now, we forfeit our future and our children's. No debate, no illusions. As if I ever doubted it, today only confirms there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that debate, votes, or empty promises will stop this. So yes, I will be marching on London the 13th of December, this Saturday, making damn sure we are seen and heard, not begging, not petitioning. We will demonstrate our defiance in force. We don't confront the government. We confront the puppet masters who pull their strings. So let's see some of it. What happened? It's what happened on Monday.
That there is a power because there simply isn't. Thank the honourable member. I thank the honourable member for giving way. Is he proposing that the police have the right to demand the access?
We don't want this, and we will not comply. You can have this.
Is he proposing that the police have a right to demand access to the digital ID to prove right to work on the spot?
All this debate. The people say no. We will not.
The messenger must remove this person immediately. Don't just stand there.
That there is a power because there simply isn't. Thank the honourable member. I thank the honourable member for giving way.
Where did I see as well? I thought there was more to it. Hang on. Is there more to it?
That there is a power because there simply isn't. Thank the honourable member. I thank the honourable member for giving way. Is he proposing that the police have the right to demand the access?
We don't want this and we will not comply. You can have this.
Is he proposing that the police have a right to demand access to the digital ID to prove right to work on the spot?
The people say no. We will not.
Did they mute it?
The messenger must remove this person immediately. Don't just stand there.
I think was that it? That must have been it. Then I saw what did old Piers Corbyn's brother say about it? I shared that as well. Where was it?
Is he?
Let's see. Not that I'm a big fan of Jeremy Corbyn, but I mean he's not totally useless, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? But let's see what he had to say. And I'm going to get Larry Sharp on just to one of his
huge numbers that have signed this petition indicate to me that there are many in this country that are deeply concerned of the direction of travel in which we're going. ID cards is one thing. Restricting jury trial is another. Facial recognition at tube stations and now even in supermarkets is something that people find deeply disturbing. There's a whole vein of thought across the country where people are feeling a quite reasonable sense of paranoia about the levels of surveillance under which they're under at the present time. And I think members of parliament would do well to try and understand that this attack on civil liberties, and that's what it is, means that vast amounts of information, utterly vast amounts of information on all of us will be stored, as they are already within the health service, which unfortunately the government is now making available to private healthcare interests at the same time. So there's a huge issue here about our data, our information and our privacy, which I think we would do well to remember. The last point I want to make is this. This debate is being pushed by commercial interests who will make a great deal of money out of providing the necessary technical equipment to set up this surveillance system that will do very well out of it, and we are being pushed into agreeing it by them. I think it's time for members of parliament to say, listen to what people are saying, listen to the concerns, have a proper debate in the chamber about this, and say no to the government, as we've said no before. Huge numbers that have signed this petition indicate.
Right, I'm going to bring my guest on now. I know he's a busy man. I see some of the comments in the chat asking where is he. So I'm going to welcome our guest on, Larry Sharp of the Libertarian Party. How are you?
How are you, sir? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear, my friend. Welcome back to the show, by the way. I know it's been a while since you last went on, a few years ago.
It's been a bit, but we are still yapping about the same problems, brother. It hasn't all of a sudden gotten better. You know what I'm saying?
No, it certainly hasn't. I don't know. Obviously, I imagine you've been listening to a bit of that, what we've got going on here in the UK at the moment with digital IDs coming in, and they're really, really pushing it. And just what do they have anything similar going on in New York and America? Great. Did they talk about digital IDs?
We have similar issues. We are cousins, so we do share in the negativity sometimes, sadly, but we do. So yeah, 100%. I think we do have that issue over here also. And I feel like the only way we can repair this is if somehow we actually have power over the power, believe it or not. What I mean by that is, as a general rule, what winds up happening is, the top 10 or 12 or 6 or whatever people, they begin to control everything, right? And I get it. That's what happens constantly. And the odds of us having some kind of control over the actual companies are slim to none. They're in bed with the government. They're in bed with big business, of course. We have to somehow control the actual power. Someone's got to be able to pull the plug. You were saying earlier how you don't believe in protests. I think you're right. Look, I get protests. It makes people feel better. It lets people know they're not alone. So there is some value to protesting, right? You get your virtual signal and stand your ground in a certain spot. I get that makes sense. But you're right. It doesn't change Parliament, doesn't change Congress, doesn't change the government. What does is public ownership. When I mean public ownership, I don't mean like the government owns something. I mean like individual private citizens, cities, municipalities, counties actually control power plants, actually control the power sources. So they can say, you know what? No, we're not going to let you do it, because all these things run on energy, whether it's nuclear energy, whether it's hydro energy, whatever energy it is, solar. The reality of it is that's how you control it. Co-op ownership of energy, so that people can say, no, we're pulling a plug. Sorry, whether that's AI, whether that's data centers, whatever the thing is. Big tech is one of our biggest issues and one of our biggest concerns. And if we don't have a way of shifting this, it's just a matter of time, brother. It's a matter of time.
Larry, sorry, that's good words, but we jumped the gun slightly. Do you just want to briefly introduce yourself to the audience, because we're multi-streaming from multiple platforms, and there might be not a few. We're mostly a UK audience, but do you want to introduce yourself?
You mean I'm not famous in the UK? What?
Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they do, but please do introduce yourself, and then we'll go into your campaign and just other American related news. Maybe you don't mind.
Sure. No worries. I'm teasing you, obviously. I hope one day I'll be famous in the UK. Maybe it could happen. Who knows? So no, I'm Larry Sharpe, and I am a libertarian, and I've run for governor of New York multiple times. This is my third time running. I'm trying to make change in my state because I believe that New York State is one of the worst politically states in the world. We spend the most money on education to get literally no good answers. We're in huge debt. People are leaving my state in droves. 300,000 people leave my state every single year. We're losing $20 billion in revenue due to migration. The state's in trouble, and I want to fix it. My goal is, if we can fix it here, we can fix it anywhere. Your people in the UK may have heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. She is a popular congressperson there. She's my congressperson. You may have also heard about Mamdani. Mamdani has won the New York. He's my assemblyman.
Larry,
yes.
Larry, what? First question. I know obviously you're going off there, but I wanted to ask. Like, I remember you saying this before. What about obviously AOC is your congresswoman? Why? I mean, it's great that you're running for obviously New York governor, which is quite a very prestige kind of a position in politics. True. But why not run for congressman? Surely that would be a far more easier feat.
Not even close.
And especially, and I think a lot of people as well. What's this? Sorry, for what? What's not close?
No, it's not even close to easier. She's popular. She wins. She's
really?
So popular. The Republicans in my state, generally speaking, in my area, don't bother running candidates. They don't even run candidates anymore. There's no way you can raise any money. But Mamdani wins 99-1, my friend. He wins 1 is write-ins. He gets Stalin would be like, damn, you get good numbers. Like Stalin would be jealous if he was alive on what good numbers they get here where I live. No, it's got to be a statewide issue, number one. But number two, people in America, we don't listen to Congress people. We listen to executives. We listen to mayors, governors, presidents. That's what we listen to. That's why we listen to Mamdani. We listen to the president. That's who we listen to. So for me to be heard, I need to run for an executive position, number one. Number two, we are very much different than the UK. In America, we guard our ballot access like it is gold. We don't let you on the ballot. You can't get on the ballot in our state. In New York State last year, we had 0 independent candidates on our ballot. They threw all of them off. I was sued off the ballot in 2024. RFK Jr., a Kennedy in America, as part of our aristocracy, a Kennedy couldn't get on the ballot. So if you don't know how to fight to get on the ballot, you can't even get listed. That's how bad we are in New York State. The only way you can become a party in New York State, and this is New York State law, is if your governor candidate gets 2% of the vote or 130,000 votes, whichever one is higher. Now, they do that because they also block you from getting on the ballot in the first place. So you have to get on the ballot, then get that to be a party. So to make this happen, I have to do this so I can be a party, so I can get people to run locally, so people can run against AOC or against Mamdani. They won't let us. That is how bad this state is. So I run for governor, 1, because it's a chance of actually making impact. 2, I can gain ballot access for my entire state so others can then run too, because right now they can't. Literally, it's almost impossible. And 3, I'm the only guy who's done this 2 times in a row. Everyone else quits because it's so goddamn hard. But I know how to do it. I can do it now. So that's why I run for that. I hope that answers your question at least.
Yes. I was going to say, but like, is it not? I mean, can you not run for multiple like elections? Like, why is it the same apply for mayor of New York? Why not?
All of them are hard to get on the ballot, every one of them. But the problem is, if I start running for things, I'm not here to run for stuff, man. This isn't a vanity project for me. I'm here to make impact. If I say I run for city council of New York City and I somehow magically win, I don't know how. Again, Republicans don't even run a candidate. The people win 99-1 here. It's so lopsided Democrat. There's no chance. But let's say I magically win and I become the city councilman in New York. I will make zero impact. I will now have a job where I make less money than I make now in the private sector, and I'll have no impact, and I have no chance of doing anything else. Why would I do that? If I'm going to do that, I'd rather just stay here and be the consultant that I am and make more money. I live in New York City. I make good money in New York City. I'd rather just do that. Why would I waste my time? I'm not looking to just be the cool guy. I'm looking to make impact. If I run for governor and win, I actually get ballot access for my party in the entire state. Not just that, I get ballot access for my presidential candidate for 2026, whoever that person is. They will be able to be on the ballot in New York State. Again, there was no Libertarian Party candidate on the ballot before because we lost ballot access. They wouldn't let us on the ballot. This is the part that a lot of people outside the country don't get. We don't let you on the ballot. So there's no way of you getting voted for because we won't let you on the ballot. Our rules say no. You're getting the ballot. See, Phil says this. In 2018, when I got ballot access, the next year in 2019, we had 107 local victories in the Libertarian Party. Then in 2020, that's
a council level. I know there's so many different elections. Do you actually have an election for the dog catcher? Is that true?
Yes, in some places we do. Not all. Some is just appointed. So we actually have elections maybe for coroner. I'm not joking. Coroner. Yes.
Yeah,
so
I just think that they're a bit, but the US, they go a bit extreme sometimes they're a bit election heavy, aren't they?
Absolutely, yes. But here's the bad part. Now we don't let you on the ballot. So what does it mean? The two major parties control everything. So your question is valid. It's important, but the issue really is, can we get on the ballot? That part's hard for where I am.
So I remember when we last spoke, you had that Cuomo, who the UNN audience was certainly not a fan of because we went through. How can I say it? We were very against the lockdowns, let's say, and the COVID era and all of that. And obviously, he was one of the most horrific leaders, but one of the horrific figures within COVID about his very authoritarian stance on
100%.
On New York. Whatever happened? What happened to Cuomo? I know, obviously, he was.
Oh my God, you don't know?
He was riddled in scandal. I remember that.
Oh,
and then it all gets lost in the news cycle, doesn't it? It gets lost in the news cycle, doesn't it? So he's the brother of one of the news anchors. What's his name? They called him Little. What was the nickname? Little.
Which
what was
one?
it? From Godfather. What was the sort of?
Oh yes, Fredo. They called him Fredo.
The runt of the litter. Fredo.
Yes.
Was his brother on the news. So what happened with Cuomo then, Governor Cuomo?
Yep. So Cuomo decided that the right answer was to save us from Mamdani, the mayor, the now soon-to-be mayor of New York, the Democratic Socialist. And so he ran for mayor to save us, and that didn't work. He ran for mayor trying to save us. He lost in the primary, and then after he lost the primary, he ran as an independent so that he could try to beat Mamdani, and he lost. And all he did was take votes away from the Republican, who was a guy named Curtis Sliwa who ran. And to show what I'm talking about, in New York City, the Republican got 7% of the vote. Not 17, my friend. Not 70. 7% of the vote. That is how broken this city is. So, yeah. And you're asking me, Larry, why don't you run for something here? The Republican got 7% of the vote.
I know the Republican Party is pretty much non-existent in New York State. Does the Libertarian Party who's basically considered the challenger? Is it the Republicans still, or would it be
It
a
still
third
is
party or
considered
independent?
the
Well,
Republican
it would be an
Party.
independent candidate.
Yep.
Okay.
It still is the Republican Party is still seen as the actual, challengers because they have the biggest budget compared to anybody else and most infrastructure compared to anybody else. Libertarian Party is the third piece, which the problem is it's like Democrat, Republican, and then on the floor, Libertarian. We are there's a massive gap between the Republicans and Libertarians. But we are the third. Like, we are the third, but there is a massive gap between us and the Republican Party. Here's the problem, though. Only 23% of registered voters in New York State are Republicans. They have a ceiling. They can't go any further, right? The independents or non-affiliated, they're actually bigger than Republicans. So it's Democrats at about 47%. It's independents or non-affiliated at 30%. And then Republicans at 23%. So the independents are bigger than Republicans. They're our third party here in New York State. But the problem is the independents are not united. Like, we're not all united together to stop the Republicans. If we were, we would easily beat the Republicans. I am trying to do that by joining two different parties, bringing Libertarians and We the People Party, which is RFK Jr.'s party. Those two parties together in New York State.
He's got
In New York
party
State
now, does he? Wasn't aware of that.
Yes. The issue here is in New York State, we have what's called fusion voting. Fusion voting means that we can actually be on multiple lines listed multiple times with different parties. Only New York State really does that. The states only do that. You can legally in certain states, but they don't really do it. New Hampshire, you can do it, but they don't really do it. It's really in New York State. So many candidates are listed 3 or 4 times. And how that works is all the votes together count, regardless of which party you vote on for that candidate. So I hope to get 2 or 3 parties all on the ballot this year.
Interesting. So just to Cuomo, was there some kind of did I hear something about him being arrested? Am I getting this wrong?
Oh, no, not arrested. He was charged, I should say, with some misconduct with ladies. Can I say that on YouTube and not get us demonetized?
You can say what you want on here in the show, anything
all right.
at all. You can even
I don't want
swear
to
if
mess
you
your
want.
show up, brother. But anyway, he was grabbing butts when he probably shouldn't be grabbing butts non-consensually. How about that? And he was charged with that, accused of that. And then what he did was he then at that point resigned. Right. So when he resigned, this is what I believe to be true. And no one's telling me I'm wrong on this. He had 2 scandals. One scandal was the butt grabbing scandal. And the other one was during the lockdowns, he shoved a whole bunch of elderly people back into nursing homes where tens of thousands of them died. Now, the problem is he wasn't the only governor who did that. Other governors did that too in other states. So and they were all Democratic governors. So the Democrats went to him and said, hey, all right, you drop out, take the fall for this, the butt grabbing. We'll put that up for a little bit. Then everything will go away. And by that time, everyone will forget about your murdering of the grandpa thing. And he went, okay. And he dropped out, resigned. We got Kathy Hochul as our new governor, who was the lieutenant governor. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, after investigations, all charges dropped. And he's a free guy. Never got charged. All charges dropped. Never got indicted. Nothing. All charges dropped.
I'm under no delusion that I think that any of these people. There was a lot of people during the whole COVID era or COVID era that were basically saying, "Oh, there's going to be a Nuremberg trial part 2 and all of this." And I went, "Look, any people that are saying that crap, they do not understand how the real world works.
Correct.
It will just not happen." And we got right now, funnily enough, there is in the UK here. There's been the COVID inquiry. There's actually been an investigation, and all it is what I predicted it would be. It's going to be the same thing where all they'll say is that lessons learned after all of that, and no one gets done for anything, and it's just the same old crap over and over again.
I remember some people saying, "Look, we didn't know." So, we need some grace and that kind of stuff. And my answer was, okay, are you saying you need grace because you agree that you should never have done it? You have no right to do it. You would never do it again. Or are you saying, well, if we knew more, then we can destroy you all and crush you and devastate you if we know more. And sadly for them, it's the latter. And in that case, no grace at all. You learned nothing. You had no right to do it. You should not have done it. It was the wrong answer in every way, shape, or form. And so when I'm governor, I want to push an amendment to the New York State Constitution based off the American First Amendment. Now, the First Amendment, most people don't know. They think it's all about freedom of speech. It is, but it's also about freedom of the press, freedom of petition to government, freedom of association, and freedom of religion. If we take that and then take an amendment to the New York State Constitution based off of that Constitution, we can ban lockdowns completely no matter what. Our First Amendment does not say you get all those rights unless I'm scared. Our First Amendment says you get all those rights no matter what. That's what it says. See, yes, no somebody's life is correct. That is my solution. We need to have an amendment to the New York State Constitution that says no lockdowns ever, no matter what. If you just make a law, our governor will go, well, it's an emergency, so I can ignore laws. That's what governors always do. No, amendment to our Constitution based upon our U.S. Constitution so it can never happen again.
But Larry does, I mean, I've become a little bit black-pilled. I consider myself a libertarian as well, but the Constitution only really means anything if the people who are basically driving the car in Congress are actually believing it, and most of them don't. So all they do is just get together and vote and just go and we'll just make an amendment to the Constitution. We'll get 3/4 of Congress to basically just undo that amendment that you've just put in. It's been done before in the past. Various times the amendment, the Constitution has been amended, isn't it? Been revised.
You are correct. And there are two ways to get around that. You're right. You're not wrong. There's two ways to get around it. Number one, our judges have failed us tremendously in my nation, in my state too. The judges were supposed to stop that, right? In our Constitution, the judges were supposed to go, oh, you brain dead chimps in some assembly or some Congress made a terrible law. It's against the Constitution. No, that's not a law. That's what's supposed to happen. Our judges don't do that. They go, no, I'm part of the party system. The party keeps me in power. So whatever my party says is law is law. We have to follow the law. That's not our Constitution. Our Constitution does not say follow the law. Our Constitution says the executive branch follows the law and the judicial branch interprets the law. We don't do that. The executive branch in my country does whatever it wants, period. And then whatever laws they create, the judicial branch just follows them. So we have to have a way of impeaching or removing judges. And we don't really do that. That's number one. Just get rid of a couple of them. The rest will begin to follow. That's number one. Two, we should remove judges from the party system completely. They should not be in the party system whatsoever. That's number two. Number three, we have to have, as I mentioned earlier, more localized control of governments. More localized control, because people right now, particularly in my state, they're not voting. They don't see, they're like you, they're black people. Why bother? Doesn't matter. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Who cares? And sadly, they're often right. They're often correct. I don't want them to be correct. I want them to have more localized control. Go, wait a minute. I voted. I showed up. I did something. And now my school district has changed. And now my taxes have changed. And now my life has changed. If that begins to happen, people will jump on board. They will care. They will do it. You're right. A lot of people are blackpilled. You're not alone. That's why it's called a thing, being blackpilled, right? It's a thing. I want that to go away. The way we do that is by people seeing hope at the local level first and moving forward. This is not I'm going to do one thing and all of a sudden tomorrow everything's awesome. This has taken decades to destroy. It's going to take a long time to repair. But if we don't have hope that it's going to get better, it will never get better. And yes, people say, Larry, you're optimistic. You're whatever, hopeful. Guilty as charged. Yes, I accept that moniker. Happily, I accept that moniker. Yes, I want that moniker. I am hopeful. I want to make it happen. That's why I'm doing this.
Larry, I want to talk about, because obviously you're in America. I want to talk about some of the American. I don't have too much time, and I just sort of want to get into the sort of crux into what I really do want to talk about. I mean, as well as your campaign as well. But
well, anybody who wants to support my campaign, check me out at LarrySharp.com. All my stuff is there. See what I'm doing. My policy is there. My YouTube page, Larry Sharp. Please enjoy. Check out whatever you want to check out. And so now people can go if they want to. Please go on with whatever you want to go on. I'm happy to have a chat with you, brother. It's all good.
Larry, there has been. I'm going to put your link to your YouTube channel as well. And I know you're shadow banned. I know having a YouTube channel myself. You are,
yes,
without a doubt,
horribly shadow banned.
I think because ever since you went on Joe Rogan and stuff, I think that there has been. I think that they do see you as a proactive individual.
Absolutely,
who is willing to go out of their way to. To do things that other people wouldn't, in a sense. And I think you are basically a threat. I remember when you last came on, you said that the governor at the time had changed the rules, the ballot rules, the ballot access rules to make it even tougher for you to basically moving the goalposts. You get to a certain thing, then they just change it, and then it's even more difficult. But you still kind of persist through. I saw, right, so I want to get into we'll keep it in New York for the moment, because I want to get into the whole, nationwide of the US, right? I saw, do you think, because I see a couple of questions in the comments too, from D-Live, for example, there is a New York City, or just New York City, is, there's a lot of money in New York, isn't there, we could say, right?
True.
And obviously, to run election campaigns, you need the money, right?
Yep.
Obviously, right? There is, ever since, I think it's becoming more and more apparent from a lot of people, especially, did you see, by chance, did you see last night or the night before the Piers Morgan interview with Nick Fuentes? Did you happen to see that?
I've heard of it. I saw a couple of clips out of it.
What's your opinion on the clips you did see, and what's your opinion also on Nick Fuentes? What do you believe in that, and the stuff that he is saying, especially about Zionist Jewish individuals, etc.? Like, what's your opinion on all that kind of stuff?
No, I think he is a symptom. And what I mean by that is people know things aren't working, and they want to hear someone else saying something else. And they're right. They are right. There has to be change. And they don't care about what they've done. And what I mean by that is, if you go back, say, 10 years, maybe, give or take. If you go back, say, 10 years again, you could not say anything bad about Jewish people or Israel or anything. I mean, my God, you were immediately an anti-Semite. You were gone. You were banned immediately. Now people are like, wait a minute. Why is Israel so important? You're hearing that constantly. You're hearing that. So there is a shift in the American psyche that I don't think was there 10 or 15 years ago. And I think now people are saying, wait a minute, something's wrong. Something's up. We don't know. And I think that's why you're hearing people like Fuentes say what he's saying and be more mainstream than you would have ever seen that years ago. So, yeah.
So I saw this video. So obviously the current mayor of New York still is Eric Adams. Is that correct? Until he changes to
until January.
Did you see this almost a month ago now? Less than a month ago, you had the Mayor Eric Adams in New York, of New York, sorry, in Israel.
Yep.
And he's quoted to say here, "I wanted to come back here to Israel and let you know that I served you as the mayor." Why would let me just, this is what we can say. Why would a New York mayor say something like that in Israel? Like, why would he?
Yes, no. The reality of it is, New York City has a massive Jewish population. For some people who may not know that, it's a massive population of Jewish people in New York. So it's savvy if you're looking for cash, which he was at the time looking for cash, and probably now looking for a job because he's going to be out of a job next year. So he wants to make sure that he has the right donors who are helping him out to move forward. It's logical sense. I don't mean to be cruel. I don't mean to be silly. It's logical sense. But, and this is a very important but, look at our current mayor. If you remember what happened, this is, if you want to check this out, our current mayor, our upcoming mayor here in January, when they were on a debate stage and the press asked all the mayoral candidates, what country are you going to go to first? Every one of them said Israel, except for Mamdani, who won. He said, I'm not going anywhere. I care about New York City. I can deal with my Jewish population here in New York City. I follow Mamdani on this one. Israel has nothing to do with the governor's race. It has nothing to do with the mayoral race. If you need to raise money from a Jewish population that supports Israel, then you probably should be happy with those people because you want the money from them who support Israel. Okay, good for you. That's not those people aren't giving me money. So I don't care. Does it matter to me anyway, right? That's not what I'm doing. So, but I guess if you want that cash, okay, do what you want. But in reality, it means nothing, right? We have a Secretary of State. We have a president. We have a federal system. We have an ambassador. Go do that. Who cares in New York State? Whether Israel does well or doesn't do well, does that help New York State? Does it help New York City? It doesn't. And that's why Mamdani won, because people are getting that. They're like, you know what? Mamdani said, I don't care. I care only about New York. That's what he should have done. And he did. And he's going to be the mayor next month. So I'm sure he's trying to get donors to be happy.
What's your opinion then? Do you believe that there is similar to what people like Thomas Massey, who is also a libertarian guy? I know he's obviously in the Republican
I love Thomas.
Party,
I know Thomas Massey. I love him. He's a great guy.
Quite similar to Ron Paul in that sense.
I was at Ron Paul's 90th birthday party. 100%. I'm in.
I mean, do you believe that? Do you believe that there is a Zionistic influence upon the West, and especially in America? Do you think that basically people like Donald Trump and the rest of his cabinet are essentially controlled by Jewish billionaires and Zion and Israelis?
I do not believe that they're controlled. I think that's an exaggeration. Do I think that the Israeli lobby has a very large influence? 100. It's obvious. I mean, AIPAC gives money to tons and tons of people. So clearly, but control is an exaggeration. People are looking for cash. That's what they want, right? And I get it. If you want your money, that's what you do. That's not who I am. It is my view that AIPAC should be and is, but sadly is not titled as such. It is a foreign lobby group. That's fine. Foreign countries can lobby all they want. No worries. You do as you see fit. I'm not mad at you. You care about your country. Do what you got to do. I'm not mad at you. But here's a problem in America. We've treated AIPAC, which is, in my view, a foreign lobbying group, as a domestic one. That's a problem. That's the problem.
There's a bit,
and move on.
What's your? So I don't mean to like go down a rabbit hole here, but
you kind of do mean to go down a rabbit hole. But I don't mind. Go ahead.
What's your opinion on? So there is a belief that JFK, famously assassinated.
Sure.
There is a belief that the true reason why he was killed wasn't just simply done by Lee Harvey Oswald. He was essentially a patsy, many believe, a fall guy. That the reason why JFK was killed is because of two major reasons. One, he was against Israel having a nuclear program. And the second reason is because JFK was looking to do as you say. He was going to make AIPAC a foreign agent, essentially registered as a foreign agent, and that is the real reason why JFK was assassinated. And it's quite strange, really, because if you see the person who then killed Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby, whose real name is Jack Rubenstein, a lot of people don't know that he was actually a Jewish gangster in Texas.
Is that true?
Yeah, his real name is Jack Rubenstein, and the guy who happened to film the footage, that famous footage, who just happened to be there. Well, not happened to be there, but was the only guy with that kind of like camera and everything. Was also a Jewish individual. Was actually a member of the local Shabab, like of that particular chapter. And it's just amazing. And his name was Mordecai, I think. I can't remember his surname now. People will say it in the comments properly. And you sort of like look into this, and like then you can look in, and then the recent that was released, obviously, in the JFK files and all of that. I mean, what's your opinion on 9/11, for example? Do you believe it was
Jesus Christ? I thought you were going on a rabbit hole. You first went to JFK down in 11. Yeah. All right.
Well, both of them. Let's say both of them. If I mean, because it seems more and more. I mean, you got obviously who's the current business secretary on Trump's cabinet? What's his name? Not Silverstein. Is it Who was the? There was famously two Jewish individuals Silverstein was one of them with trade towers who happened to be not at work that day, and also the current Commerce Secretary.
Yeah,
Trump's
Silverstein,
cabinet
if I'm
also
not
just
mistaken,
happened to
actually
not turn
owned
up
them
for work
both,
that
if I'm
day.
not mistaken. I think both of them actually owned. I think he owned both of those. I think that's right, if I'm not mistaken. I think he owned both towers. So I think it was Silverstein or Silvers or Silverstein. I forgot one of those two.
It's
Yes.
Silverstein,
Yeah.
and the current Commerce Secretary, whatever his name, I'm sure I can just do a search here. It also has the same, very similar story, and obviously, have you ever heard about the dancing Israelis and stuff like that? Like, you ever heard that theory
The
about
dancing Israelis? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a noob here, but I kind of am. I'm not really into the conspiracy theory world very much. I focus very much on my state more than anything. I kind of do. But I'm happy to have the conversation. People talk about it. I'm happy to. But you're going to have to like, do you know this? Is going to have to be a common thing as we do this. So sorry about that. I don't mean to be a nudge. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, Leon Michael. The nickname of Larry Silverstein was Lucky Larry. He could happen to be not at work that day. But basically, the dancing Israeli thing is basically that it was seen. How long have you lived in New York, Larry? You lived in New York City, or do you live somewhere else in New York State?
My entire life, I haven't lived in New York City, but I was born in Manhattan, raised as a little kid in the Bronx, then out on Long Island, now back in Queens. I was in the Marines and overseas for about 10 years. I was in the Marines for 7, overseas for 3 or 4 after that, and then I came back.
Mm-hmm. Howard Luckwit, that's the current. He also famously.
Yes, London. Yes.
Howard Luckwit, yeah. So the dancing Israeli thing, just to give you a brief synopsis, was basically they were famously, like, I think famously when the towers were coming down or were on fire. There was spotted from afar, somewhere far, could be New whatever, one of the other islands, whatever. They were famously dancing in celebration to the towers being and it was reported to the police. They were later picked up, these people, in a kind of white van, kind of workers van kind of thing. They were students from Israel, but there's been there were actually some kind of intelligence students, in the sense that they were part of like Mossad or something like that. It was something bizarre like that, or part of the IDF, etc., something like that in that way. But they were sort of let go, and they were given basically safe passage back to Israel. And it was very. It's sort of.
I think I had heard about that.
Yes, when you actually look into it, it does give, because then obviously we know what happened after that thing with the whole invasion of Iraq, and it just who did it benefit overall? And overall, it did benefit Israel, and it's just that there was, you could say that there was motive in that regard of why. I mean, what do you believe? What do you believe?
There's
Tell us what you
famous,
believe about 9/11.
There's a famous libertarian of more popular, a popular libertarian here in America. You may have heard him before, Dave Smith. Have you heard of Dave Smith?
Yeah.
He often speaks about this. He's gone down this rabbit hole a lot, far more than I have. Right. So probably if you can get him on the show, he could probably talk to you for hours and hours and hours on this. He's gone down a rabbit hole a lot. So he would probably remember all this stuff and be able to talk about it. So let me give you a good general rule why I don't spend a lot of time on this. I generally believe that government is far too incompetent to actually create the entire thing. What I think government does is they know what's going to happen. They do nothing and take advantage of it afterwards. That's what I think I'm making this up, but you'll get the concept when I say this. There was a plan on the shelf to invade Iraq, to do all the things that they wanted to do. And then, there's 9/11. Great. Wait for that to happen. Oh, it happens. Great. Now, boom, put it into play. So I tend to think that governments tend to react to the things that happen, not that they actually planned them. That is what I usually believe. So do I think the government planned 9/11? No, I don't think that. Do I think they knew it was going to happen? I think it's obvious. They had a ton of sites, had the actual paperwork on it. I think it's obvious. And then they acted accordingly. I think that's what usually happens. Do I have data to prove that? I don't. But you ask my opinion, that's what I usually feel. That's my issue. That's what I'm trying to work on when it comes to those issues. Knowing that when something bad happens, we, the people, have some control to stop the stupidity that happens afterwards, because it's all about grift. The government now is all about grifting. It's all about making money. I think most people in government know that the empire is burning, and they know the empire is burning. So let's get as much money as we can off of it as it burns. And they watch things that happen, and they just keep going. They just keep going. That's my view.
Interesting. So just keep it in America now. So yeah, what's your opinion? What's your opinion on the whole?
Oh, your chat
Charlie
is mad
Kirk
at me.
situation?
I'm supposed
What
to
do you
be
think
angry
happened?
here. Your chat's mad at me. That your chat thinks that I'm a bad guy. Okay. You can think that if you want to, my friend.
we're
want.
pretty far down the rabbit hole, Larry. That's
I don't
what
mind.
that's what it
Totally
is.
fine.
So what do you think happened with Charlie Kirk? Do you think it was just simply as they say it was, or do you think that perhaps there was something a bit more nefarious about it? You see Candy Sowen at the moment. She's really talking about rabbit holes. She's really going down.
Hardcore. She is hardcore screaming about this. I've seen it more than once. To be fair, I don't know. I don't really know. And I know people want me to go down a rabbit hole, but I don't know. There's tons of people going down a rabbit hole. Go down, enjoy. Not where I'm focusing on. I don't know.
So you don't know.
I feel bad for his family. I feel bad for his kids. Whatever happened, the kids didn't do it. Right? They lost their dad, and that sucks.
Because no, it's terrible. I do think he was killed. There's some people who don't even think he was killed, but I do think he was killed personally.
Oh no, I think he was killed. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a theory also? Okay, let me walk down. Okay, yes, no. I think he was killed. Yes, I do believe that. I do think it was planned, and it was yes, that I think so. Yes.
Turning Point USA. Do you think that they're like a how can I say it, an outside influence from a foreign entity that is using that? Did you ever heard of a guy called oh god, what was his name? He was a Russian defect, a KGB defect. Yuri Bezmenov. Do you ever hear of this guy?
I don't think
Back in the 80s, the early 80s, late 70s, he was on TV shows at the time. He was saying about how bad the USSR is, etc., and all of this. And he spoke about how real espionage is done, basically. And he said it isn't done like James Bond and all that. It isn't romanticized. That's all nonsense. There's really only 10% of espionage is like James Bond. 90% of it really is infiltration.
100%. 100%. I completely believe that to be true. I think we see that everywhere. I think part of it is actually changing policies, education. I think all those things. Yeah, I agree. That's true.
Sorry, I'm losing the connection there. But yeah, I did hear some of that. But yeah, so he said that most of it is just infiltration of education in terms of getting professors in, lecturers, etc., and all of this. Yep. And personally, for me, and this is just my opinion, and I hope I don't upset anyone in your chat by saying it, because I imagine there will be some Charlie Kirk fans, etc. But what I think Charlie Kirk was doing personally was that he was essentially indoctrinating young minds on behalf of a foreign nation. I think that foreign nation is Israel, and I think that he
Hold on, maybe you think Charlie Kirk was indoctrinating people on behalf of Israel?
Yes. Because his whole thing was
the conspiracy theory that she's talking about, which I'm not saying is right or wrong. I don't know, but isn't Candace Owens saying that they're the ones they're the ones who killed him? So
yes,
okay,
I also agree. I also agree with this. I don't agree with Candice where she's going. I think it's too far. Personally, I think she's making the right. I think she's making a right circus out of it, and it's actually quite disgraceful. She's turned it into basically a true crime drama. Next time on Candice Owen, we're going to get that. And it's all this kind of sensationalism about it and TV soapness about it, and I think it's really, really poor behavior from Candice Owens, who I don't really have much respect for multiple reasons. I've actually met her in real life in England here, but
when you met her, how was she?
She was, like Candice Owens. She was erratic. She was, as you would expect. She's exactly how you would see her on TV, basically, right?
Okay.
So, but what I think happened is that basically, I think Charlie Kirk was starting to basically try and leave the plantation, or whatever you want to call it, the mafia.
Oh,
you can't leave the mafia. Right, you can see in some of his messages that he was starting to criticize Israel, his paymasters, I think, essentially. And I think at the end of the day, Do you ever heard of a guy called Robert Maxwell? He's the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, who was obviously partnered with Jeffrey Epstein. He was the editor of various rags here in the UK, and it's a very well-known open secret, essentially, that he was a Mossad agent. That he was basically running the media. He was running a media empire here in the UK. And he was basically knocked off by Mossad because he got too big for his boots, and he started making demands to his boss, i.e. Mossad, and they just knocked him off. And he famously, I don't know if you know this, he died very suspiciously off a boat where it's believed that he was killed. He was just basically killed and thrown overboard or drowned or whatever. And then the media, which is basically very much tightly controlled by the intelligence services around here, you even see in the recent Grey Zone article as well, they talk about this, is that he was basically knocked off. And I think, like Charlie Kirk, he got too big for his boots. And I think he started making light threats to his paymasters. And basically, they just got rid of him. And they basically, like with Lee Harvey Oswald, they've just found some bloke who's just a patsy who might be involved. I don't know whether he did pull the trigger or not. I don't know. But what happened was, I think that essentially the state of Israel, or whatever, Mossad, we want to call them, with assistance with the CIA. You see Kash Patel and Dan Bongino very much not the people that they claimed to be before they went into the White House, saying we're going to have transparency and all of this nonsense. And they're essentially covering up all of what's going on right now. I mean, what's your opinion on the whole Epstein files thing? What do you think? Do you think that was a blackmail operation?
Wow, you hit me with a lot of stuff.
I know.
No. Look, I'm happy to have the conversation. Just hit me with a lot. Let me see if I can. You gave me like 4 or 5 of these. Let me deal first, I guess, with the Charlie Kirk piece. Is that okay to work on that one first? Sure, is that fine? All right. I don't know if any of that's true. I could see that. It seems odd that he would have the paymasters, and then that will be the end of that they would get rid of him. I guess maybe I didn't hear that.
Larry, these people are ruthless, mate. Did you hear about the exploding pages? Did you hear about this? What they did, how they took out a lot of, who was it? Was it Hamas or was it, no, it wasn't. It was Hezbollah, wasn't it?
I remember the pagers. Yes. I remember that. Yes. That
you
was
remember that. You remember they had 60 Minutes, a famous show in America, 60 Minutes. They had a Mossad agent on who was almost comically, but quite seriously dressed up in a balaclava on. He had sunglasses on. He had a voice disguiser on, via editing. And this Mossad agent basically just said, not only did we explode the pages of these Hezbollah, which, by the way, they probably killed a lot of people who weren't the terrorists. That they basically just blatantly exploded. There's probably a lot of bystanders, probably a lot of innocent people that got caught up in that. But not only did they do that, at the funerals, this is what the guy said on 60 Minutes. I can get up the video if you want. The guy on 60 Minutes said, that this Mossad agent said that not only did we do that, but at the funeral services of these Hezbollah agents, we then exploded more. We blew up more explosions and call up all of their family members and everyone else in it. These people are absolutely ruthless, mate. They don't. So, when you go, oh, it doesn't make logic. It's just like they don't care about that sort of stuff. If they would happily blow up a plane to kill one guy if it's full of women and children. They don't care. Like, these people are absolutely ruthless, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm saying, is that people go, yes, because we're reasonable people, but you're dealing with people who are essentially gangsters. They are ruthless, and they do not care about any of this stuff. But sorry, but continue, Larry. Sorry, apologies.
No, your black hole, your black pilling is showing itself. That's all I'm saying. You're clearly black pilled, right? I'm not that guy, man. I'm not the black pilled guy that you are. We're different in that regard. I am someone who thinks we can fix this. I think the only way we do it is by having local people have more control. What's happening is people are surrendering. You could spend so much time talking about this and then not doing anything. And I get it, surrendering, and many people do, or just waiting for, and look, there are people in America too, just waiting for the violence to start. They are. And I get it. I meet them and they tell me, Larry, you're wasting your time. You're just waiting. Look, here's what I can tell you. We're in trouble. across the Western world, America included, the UK included, we're all in trouble. There's 1,000 people who are trying to do bad things. The only way we fix this, is by giving people hope to give a damn again. Most people are checking out. In America, there's anywhere between 8 and 10 million young men who have just checked out. How am I going to save my country if they've just checked out? They have checked out. They don't care anymore. So the powerful people stay powerful. The powerful people keep doing what they're doing. And look, if this falls into the violence as some people think, if this does fall into this, I don't want to be a guy that says, I didn't do everything I could to stop it. I don't want to be the guy who says, I didn't do every single thing that I could possibly do to stop this. So yeah, I am absolutely optimistic. Crazy. You can call me silly. I don't care. You can call me, my friends call me bleeding hearts. A bleeding heart. Fine. I accept that moniker happily yet again. I am trying to make things work before it falls into violence. There is already violence. Before it goes into mass violence. I'm trying to stop that, giving people hope so they don't do this. And if people get involved, look, someone is going to have to pull the trigger. Someone's going to have to put people in the camps. Someone's going to have to do the work required to punish the people as they see fit. If we get people to say, no, I'm not going to be that guy, we got a shot. That's where my head is. I know some people think I'm crazy. I don't care. I will happily take that moniker.
No. I mean, I know it sounds I am black pill, but I am an optimist. I do have hope. I don't
nice.
peddle hope.
That's
I don't
what,
peddle. I don't peddle hopium.
Said so far today, my friend.
I don't peddle hopium, but I just think that how we do it is in a different way. Like my overall solution to this is basically we have to become totally ungovernable. Like in the sense that we are no longer consenting, we're not going to sign petitions anymore. We're not going to go put an X in a box or whatever they do in America, tick or whatever it is. We're not going to we're going to stop paying taxes. We're going to, that's how the USA was created, wasn't it? By not paying taxes,
I'm going to be with you though. Hold on. I'm going to be with you. Hold on. I'm with you here. Hold on. I'm with you here. Here we go. I'm with you on this. People won't do that in my country right now, and maybe yours too, because they cannot imagine a world without daddy government right now. They can't imagine that world. If we show them that local communities can support each other, which we know they used to and they can again. But as you add government, you by default remove community. That's how it works. And now we have a system of tens of millions of Americans who are reliant upon government. So they're not going to not comply. They're going to comply. That's how they get fed. That's how they pay their bills. That's how they live. They are going to comply. But if we make it to where they don't have to comply, they can actually decide how to survive on their own with their own communities, then they can. Every policy I have, and for those of you who care, you can go to liveryshop.com. Every policy I have is based upon the state itself beginning to wean itself off of the federal government, and that communities weaning itself off of the state to where communities can survive on their own, and then they can tell them to go to hell. You know who can tell people to go to hell right now in my state? The Amish. The Amish don't need the state. They function without it, and they don't vote.
They hate
and they don't need to vote.
They hate it, don't they? Like they hate that.
Correct.
There's a bit of a silent civil war going on, isn't there? With the was it AFT and isn't it a subsidy of the FBI basically? Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Correct. ATF.
They're basically having a little kind of silent civil war of the Amish community, aren't they? Because obviously Amish community, like you say, they are totally not reliant on government. They're independent.
Correct.
And the state hates that. The state hates that. States, I always see welfare like a drug. That is a drug that people get hooked on very easily, welfare. I know my brother, for example, he was on welfare for 10 years because his logic was to me, well, Sean, like I can work my arse off 40 hours a week, but only be making about 300 quid extra a month. It's pointless. So they make it just so that you are that you can reasonably live on welfare, but they don't pay you too much. Do you see what I mean? But so they want
I agree completely.
Hooked in it. this whole UBI thing, universal basic, and they want everyone, even in the UK here, they want everyone on UBI, right? They're really pushing it at the moment.
Of
And
course.
they basically, and if you become addicted to this drug of welfare, you basically become subservient to your drug dealer, i.e. the state.
Yes.
And then, so basically, if you become subservient to your government, then they become your boss. And then anything you say online, then, think like this all ties in with the digital currency, digital ID stuff, which are protesting.
100%.
It's all to do with this.
You might think that we are somehow not on the same page.
No, I know we are.
But we are. The difference is some people have surrendered or think violence is the answer. I think getting people to believe that there is an actual ability for my community to support me, that I don't need a federal or a state government to support me, that is how we come to a point of people falling away, pushing away and not complying. And the Amish, for those who don't know, the Amish in America are actually growing. They're getting bigger and better. And it's not just because they're having babies. It's because the Amish people who leave when they're Rumspringer, they're coming back. They're going, I don't like it out there. I'm coming back. I'm good. I'm going to stay right here on the farm. And the Amish love me. And I want a whole lot of localized Amish communities, because then the government, they will say, you know what? We don't need you anymore. Have a nice day. That is my ultimate goal. You're correct.
Yeah. So but the Amish, has there been any escalation to that? Because I mean, I have seen videos, and there was a point where there were people reporting here in England what was going on in America, because it was so outrageous what the ATF were doing, especially. It is because in here, like you, similar to what you said just about the Amish, the Amish community are growing. There are a lot of people in the UK here, and I include myself as one of those people, is that we are moving. I and many others are moving more and more away from how can I say it, mainstream society, let's call it.
It's very common. I agree.
We are basically setting up small communities. You could even say communes, but not in the sort of communistic way. But we are basically, there's like a lot of people might call them freedom farms, or I don't know what they call it, but I think I'm just trying to give it a basic kind of generic example. But like freedom farms, freedom communities. There's people. There's a very good one called Crops Not Shops. Is a well-known one around here. They're all basically sort of setting up, and they're basically just trying to get away. But my kind of, you might call it blackpilling worry is that eventually the state will come for you. And having seen what the state has done in America with things like, what's your opinion on Waco? Let
me touch what you just said. There's a good example of the state backing off. Was that what I was talking about? I think it was Nevada, someplace western New York. It was the Bundy farm. And supposedly he was doing something they didn't like with his animals. I forgot the details, but the details don't matter. The outcome is what matters. There was some issue with his farm, and the feds came by and said, we're going to come take it. A bunch of his buddies came out, all with their firearms, and they stood their ground. And it was going to be a shootout. Literally, it was going to be a shootout. And the federal government walked away. This is what I'm talking about. The federal government walked away.
How long ago was that? How long ago was that, Larry?
2-3 years ago, something like that. Maybe 3 years ago, maybe. The Bundy farm. I think it was Nevada, but it's in that area. Nevada, Wyoming. I forgot, it was one of those. And yes, the government walked away. That's the point. We can do this. It can be done. But if he was by himself, it's Waco. It's Ruby Ridge. That's what it is when he's by himself. This goes right back to my point. When community backs you, that's when you win. When you are on your own, you don't win. It's not how you just go to jail. You just get shot. You just get destroyed. You need community. And when you have community, they have to walk away. Now, why haven't we destroyed all the Amish? They have community.
They're big. They're a very big community, though.
Correct.
They've been allowed. I think obviously they've been allowed to flourish because obviously the state wasn't was powerful enough at the time. I do worry now, though, especially ever since Waco. I think that was a show of force to many sort of people who wanted to set up a community like that. I think that when I was before all of this, I did used to think that Waco was just a camp full of nutters, and they were basically gun hungry. This is before I was kind of libertarian. I mean, and then you look at it with fresh eyes, And you sort of see that actually, I think that the narrative is not what they claim it was, and there was more to it than meets the eye. I think the FBI did go in heavy in a state, obviously a representative of the state went in
You
heavy.
mean Waco?
Yeah.
Waco was an embarrassment. Waco was a way of validating the ATF because the ATF was useless. That's all Waco was. If he was this bad guy they say he was, I don't know if he was, but for the sake of argument, he was this bad guy they say he was. Again, I don't know that to be true. Let's assume for the sake of argument, he was a bad guy. Great. The guy went running every day. Arrest him on the road. If he's this bad guy that they say he is, awesome. Arrest him when he's on the road running. Arrest him when he goes to the store. Why do you have to surround his entire area and crush him? That was unnecessary. That was to validate the ATF, all the money it had, everything it had. No, Waco was utterly unnecessary. It was completely done as a show of force. You are totally true. You're totally telling the truth. If he was this bad guy that they say, we don't know because he's dead, but if he was this bad guy they say he was, why didn't you just arrest him when he was out the store? Arrest him when he goes for a run. Do your investigation. Get your witnesses. Do what we're supposed to have due diligence. That should have been what happened here, and it didn't happen at all. So, guy, I'm sorry, I'm running late. I gotta run.
Yeah, I'll let you go, Larry. It's been I could literally speak to you for another hour at least, mate. But I'll let you go, mate. Obviously, I'll put your Twitter and your YouTube channel. Is that the best way for people to?
That's perfect. Look, guys who want to see me, please reach out to me. I do a live show many times a week like this. You can come on and yell at me if you want to. I put all the stuff up front. I don't mind getting yelled at all. I don't care if people are mad at me, whatever. I don't usually go down conspiracy rabbit holes, but look, I'll take any question. I'm always talking. I chat with people all the time. If you guys want to do some conspiracy stuff, I don't mind. Come on and do it. You'll be educating me more than I'll be educating you, though. I mean, you educate me more than I educate you. So if someone's come on my show, come on down. You'll educate me more than I educate you.
We learn from each other. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right, my
Larry,
friend.
thank you for coming on, mate. Good luck. Good luck. Please do come on again. Come on with our main. I'm only the substitute teacher to the main UNN anchor, who's a far bigger audience than me. So please do come on next time for David Calusa's show, if nearer to your campaign, possibly. When is the governor race? Sorry.
Next November.
Next or 1 year. 1 year. Wow.
Yep, 1 year.
All right, then. Well, good luck in the campaign. And obviously, please do come on again, Larry. Yeah.
Have a good one, brother.
Take care. See you soon. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. That was Larry Sharp, guys, from the US Libertarian Party. We didn't actually talk any Libertarian Party politics, but there's so much to talk about what's going on in the US. We could literally talk to Larry for about another hour or two. I've already gone over my threshold, my 2-hour threshold, but I thought it was actually quite interesting to get Larry's perspective on some of the. I did kind of bombard him with info, didn't I? It was an info dump on. Can you wait? I can't wait for Christmas to see the family again, and just offload all of this stuff that's going on. I'm going to head off shortly, guys. The people on D Live, whoever Jogger D at the moment, I can't see the Jogger Dindu. You've already donated 2,200. Is that right? 2,200 lemons. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is very generous. That's that. What is that? That is. I don't even know what the hell anything's worth anymore on that. Lemons a penny, and so. If that's still the crypto, is that still the currency of it? I don't even know. But I don't think anyone's going to beat you, Jogger. So if you want to put your song request in, please do at any point, and just remind me, because obviously I'm multitasking by being on the show as well, by running the show. I want to talk about. Mate, I did say I would say something about the Nick Fuentes and Piers Morgan. It was quite a bit of a clown show, I must say. If I had to say who came off better, it would obviously be Nick Fuentes, but then again, I don't particularly like both of them, if I'm honest with you. It is a bit of a circus, but I mean, the memes have been absolutely hilarious, to be fair. I think this is what summed up the entire. I do disagree with Larry in the sense that I do think that there is a big Zionistic influence upon the West, and they do control a lot what goes on in America. This I thought was basically what summed it up when Pierce did it in live time. I don't know any right-minded person who believes that Jewish people weaponized the Holocaust for their own personal gain. Pierce's Jewish friend 1 minute later, buy my book about the Holocaust. I mean, that will go down, I think, as sometimes the whole clown show can be high entertainment comedy sometimes. I mean, that I don't know anyone who would use it for their own personal gain, any sort of Jewish individual. Yeah, buy my book. And then me mum, me dad, that's gonna be me mum, me dad is gonna be the living meme forever. I saw Piers Morgan was trying to be the big man of the debate. I think when he realized that he couldn't really get Fuentes into the mental cage that he wanted to put him in. It wasn't being put into that cage where basically Morgan had the upper hand, started to berate very childishly Nick Fuentes of like being a virgin and never being with a woman, gone on about tampons, ridiculous stuff. Like really, I mean, I saw Jada Franson. When a 60-year-old journalist as experienced as Piers Morgan has to resort to pretending that tampons aren't gross in some desperate attempt to make Nick Fuentes look bad, it's probably just time to retire. Absolute boomer behavior, says Jada Franson. Yeah, well, I'm not going to point it again. It's just so pathetic and cringe. I heard then that obviously Piers Morgan was sticking up for basically women's rights, etc., which, you know, feminism, which is just basically just gender communism, really, gender socialism, is that there's been some, I know this is supposedly true, as of December the 10th, 2025, a YouTube channel has circulated claiming that Piers Morgan's wife, Scylla Walden, is publicly disrespectful and unfaithful, citing her social media posts and past statements as evidence of a lack of respect and potentially infidelity. This video alleges that Walden has an account on the Ashley Madison dating site, which is designed for extramarital affairs, and suggests this indicates she has cheated on Morgan. It further claims that she has engaged in flirting behavior, basically, with other men on her Instagram, including Lenny Kravitz and actor Rolf Rupp Lintott, who's that? And has publicly mocked Morgan in interviews and social media posts. His wife admitted in 2015 to being a member of the Ashley Madison for research purposes. she met Footlong for research purposes, stating she had signed up to investigate the website's founder. No, undercover journalism is deep cover journalism. Noel Biderman, and even sent tawdry messages to him, though she described the experiences as distinctly grubby. The video claims Walden has forgotten. What is this video? Claims that her anniversary every year since their 2010 marriage has publicly stated she is sick of having to look at him every morning. This I know it's true. Sick of looking at him every morning after he left Good Morning Britain, though these claims are presented as part of a broader critique rather than verified facts. The video also references a past marriage sabbatical Warden took, suggesting it may have been a period of non-contact and potentially infidelity, though no direct evidence of cheating is provided. While the video presents a narrative of public disrespect and potential infidelity, it is It is a commentary piece and not verified report, and no official confirmation of infidelity has been provided by Warden Ormond. But I think it's true personally, because he does look like a cuckold, Piers Morgan, and I think that his wife, as Nick Ferrenta says, he is henpecked. He very much does look like. Where's this? This how? So this all from the Express. So it's not just any random online rag. It's an official. It's an official. Not that makes it any truer, but I mean, it's not exactly from darkwebnews.com. Piers Morgan's wife, House at Sydney Warden, admitted being on Ashley. She's there for research. The second wife is a small church ceremony in Oxfordshire 9 years ago this month. Oh, okay. Okay. What was this article? How old is this article? This is from 2019, this article. Interesting. I see Piers Morgan's son has now got himself involved in the. Where is it? Where did I see it? Oh, I've got his name. What was his name? Piers Morgan. Oh. What was his name? Oh damn it! I've lost that particular thing. I didn't retweet it or anything. But his son has now got into the ring in a sense, because it was pretty low class of Piers Morgan to bring up Nick Ferrenta. Again, I don't like Nick Ferrenta's. I think that basically he has the regime, the establishment, whatever you want to call it. They have recognized that Ferrenta is useful to them in the sense that he's got a very young audience and they need young people, because obviously they are becoming less and less controllable, and they need someone to they need to bring someone in from the cold, as David Clues would say, and kind of turn them into a bit of a made man in a way, bring them in from the cold. Whether Ferrenta is a little bit of a how can I say it? He's a bit fickle. Let's put it like that, right? He's a bit prickly, and I think they brought him in because he's gone on to all of these shows, and they're not alternative. Piers Morgan, as we said before, he is not an alternative guy. He is a product of people like what's his name from News Corp, Rupert Murdoch. He was banging the drums for war during the Iraq War. He was calling all people who weren't getting their COVID jabs, like dangerous people, need to be locked up, etc. All this, that he is not. He is an establishment stooge, just like Julia Hartley Brewer and all those kind of people. They are not on our side. They are an establishment. But in my opinion, they are Operation Mockingbird Mark II people. They've gone into a different. They got a different assignment. Piers Morgan was an editor of various rags as well in the UK, just like Robert Maxwell. I think that he is possibly even a spook. I don't know, or just a useful stooge at bare minimum. So let's see. Right, I'm going to head off shortly, guys. This is like people like Ted Cruz, Candice Owens. So I was saying about how I think a lot of the alternative people in the alternative sphere, counter-establishment sphere, whatever you want to call it, is that a lot of them I think are just con artists, and they're all trying to get into the club. Now, I don't know if people were watching Unprecedented TV yesterday, the show I was doing. Candice Owens. So people asked me, how did I meet her? Well, I went to the launch of Turning Point UK when it was, I think that was back in 2017 or 2018. Again, when I was a different person, a bit of a political stooge myself. But I went to that thinking that, there is a solution here. There is no solution in these kind of organizations. They're all either controlled or they just don't have what it takes to do anything. I think ultimately, like I said, I think we ourselves need to do stuff and simply become totally withdraw all kind of consent that becomes totally ungovernable by just no longer participating in the system, the matrix, whatever you want to call it. No more voting, no more signing petitions. Get to a point where we're not paying taxes, not paying utility bills, perhaps not even have a general strike. I don't know. We've got to bring this regime right to its knees, I think personally, but that is a long-term solution. So Candy's own Keith Woods, who has been doing, people probably know Keith Woods. I think Keith Woods been on the UNN before. Keith Woods, who I'm not really a big lover of personally. I think that he was very weak during COVID. I think that he does essentially have a glass ceiling mind, in terms of there is a bit, he does good work on certain things, but he's very narrow minded. He doesn't really think outside of the box. He's a bit of a, how can I say it? He's a little bit closed-minded in a lot of things. This is how he fell for the whole COVID and jabs and all of that. He was very much for, I think he's probably jabbed himself and all of that. He believes in science, the science provided to us by the people who lie to us all the time, which I thought Keith would know. But obviously this is the sort of glass ceiling. You can see his limits of his how his perspective on things. I said that, he is going after Candice Owens and calling her, as I believe too, that her stance on Charlie Kirk is just way over the top. And what did I say to Keith Woods? I said, what did I say? So obviously he said, he's obviously commented on one of Candice Owens's, again, a bit far-fetched sort of reaching stuff going on about Macrons and all of this. But Charlie Kirk, the official narrative is that guy just got a gun and shot Charlie Kirk. Is too implausible for me. He's being sarcastic, right? I prefer Candice's theory that the French, Egyptian, and Israeli governments, Turning Point USA, international arms traffickers, Bill Ackman, the DuPont family, Charlie's friends, and the FBI orchestrated it using a team of tens of special forces members wearing maroon T-shirts, a trapdoor, Charlie security team, a patsy, and Tyler Robertson's father. Right? Now, I've replied, no disrespect, Keith, but didn't you fall for the much easier to work out scam of the COVID era? If you couldn't even see through state propaganda of COVID/vaccine, then logically you won't be able to process the complexity of an Israel hit job. Do you believe JFK was killed by Oswald? So I imagine he would say, yeah, he was. I think it was because, again, even though Keith Woods is very articulate, very intelligent, and he's probably more intelligent than me academically, but when it comes to, I don't know, we want to call it streetwise or street smarts, or I don't know. I don't know what is there a word for it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the Egyptians, but I do kind of believe that the latter part of it. I know they say, oh well, it's like what do they say? Not what's the Occam's razor? The most simplest solution is often the correct answer. It's usually the most likely, but I don't think so in this particular occasion. I do think it wasn't. I said it to Larry earlier, that the reasons why I thought that, as to why. But unfortunately, the person delivering this knowledge has gone a bit too far in it, i.e. Candice Owens, and she has become a bit of a liability. And it is possible now that she is perhaps being directed, because like I said, a lot of these people are just con artists and grifters, people like Nick Tenconi and all of that, where they are basically signaling to the establishment saying, look how much of a good grifter I am. Look how much of a good con artist I am. Look at Tommy Robinson. He's like their best con artist, right? And they use him in that way. It's all, you can't get any in this society. We live in a society of con artists. right? We live in a society where if you are a good con artist, you will get into the halls of power in some way, in some sort of official or unofficial way, right? That's how I see. We live in a society of con artists, yeah. And the state will sort of, it's almost like they go to like a beauty pageant, and the judges are basically representatives of state, and then they come along with their grift, their little grift, whatever it is, their little niche grift, like Ricky Doolan, it's the healing or the Americal healing, and whoever it is, Tommy Robinson's goes, I can get all these thousands of people to turn up in London on a certain day. It's like they show their power, like they show what their technique is and all that. And then the state goes, yeah, we could use that. Yeah, we'll think about it. Yeah, we'll call you back. It was that. What's that? South Park. Like South Park they had a recent one of their long episodes of how it all works, how they get influencers, because that's what these people are. They're influencers. People like Candice Owens, Tommy Robinson, all of that. They are influencers, and basically, and South Park is very, 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 very good in like giving political commentary, even though it basically started off as a cartoon about farting and stuff. It's like it actually does give very good political insight. Influencers, influencer auction, and I generally think this is what it is. It is basically.
To own this influencer, we'll start the bidding at 20. 20, do I hear 20? There's 20, do I hear 25? 25, let's say own this influencer, we'll start the bidding at 20. 20, do I hear 20? There's 20, do I hear 25? 25, let's say 25. 25, 30, 25 from Mattel Toys. Mattel Toys now the highest bidder at 25. 25, who's going to go for 30? 30, 30, 30 from Lunchables, let's go 50. 50 now, who wants the influencer? 50, 50, 100. 100 from the Chinese government. Can we go 150? 150.
But I genuinely think that it's almost done. Not literally done like that, but it's practically almost done. I think Israel even mentioned as well. That Israel
150. Yes, Stoli Vodka at 150. 150, the current bid from Stoli Vodka. What about you, Build-A-Bear? Do we hear from Build-A-Bear? 160. 160 from the NRA, outbidding Stoli Vodka. Who wants to influence the youngins more? 170 from Voices for Ukraine. Don't let them outbid you, Russia. No? Chinese government? No? Sold to Voices for Ukraine.
Do you know how I know some of this is true? This is all to do with lobbying as well. So I obviously do a show for Unprecedented TV. That's the sort of network run by former Lib Dem MP Lempit Opek. And he told me something quite interesting once. He said that there's loads of lobbying that when I was an MP. He said one of them that used to give me quite a bit of money was the Camping and Caravan Club, which I'm sure maybe some of you are members of. They used to basically, you would think Camping and Caravan Club, like that's a bit, what, they used to lobby you. They said, yeah, they used to take me out for meals. They used to give me money. They used to they used to basically give me gifts or whatever. However, whether that gifts, I don't know whether it was literally money, but basically they used to take them out for dinners, and then they would have a guy in Parliament, and there was a guy in the Commons who would basically any problems that they were having, they would just dial up Lembit. You know what I mean? They said so. You know what I mean? Even though they're talking about Build-A-Bear and Mantel Toys and all of this, and vodkas and all that, it's like it's true. There's thousands upon thousands of businesses in the UK, and there's probably every day they're just buying MPs every day, and it's just that's how they come out so wealthy. They buy these influencers. I think government does the same. I think basically they see these people, and then they basically say, you know what, we'll have a bit of that. But this is good work from Keith Woods, I think. Yeah. So even though I do think he's a bit close-minded, he's got kind of an academic, scientific mind, but only within the confines of the system, the matrix, if you get what I mean. That's why he fell for the con of COVID and all of that. This is what he's done. So he's been looking into basically Candice Owens here, all right? This is how I know people like Candice are basically just con artists, right? In 2016, whilst working for a private equity firm in Manhattan, Candice Owens stopped paying her rent of $3,550 per month for a luxury apartment. Despite paying no rent, she continued living there for 6 months, then sued the landlord for the apartment having black mold, which she claimed made her very ill. This is the photo she submitted as evidence that she suffered from. Is it asthma? Is it and other ailments? This is the photo she provided in court, right? This, Candice couldn't produce an expert witness to support her allegations, which the court concluded were a crock of shit. Probably not official language. When the landlord countersued, she lost and was ordered to pay almost $18,000 in unpaid rent, plus her landlord's legal expenses. So she is a bit of a grifter, one could say. Some very interesting details about Candice's own history here. The face of Brexit, because it was basically, because she did that as well. Brexit, if people remember that, it was basically black people leaving the left or whatever, like leaving the Democrat sphere or whatever you want to call it. Kind of similar to what Jesse Lee Peterson's does. The face of Brexit was apparently a victim of coordinated racial abuse campaigns multiple times throughout her youth, which even implicated her school and the police. 2005, Candice Owen alleges that she was attacked by 3 white girls from her high school whilst working at Blockbuster. She claims they stomped on her while screaming racial slurs. This is why I don't trust Candice Owens, because she comes from that. She basically was a raging. How can I say this? What we call woke now, essentially. She comes from that like leftist kind of sphere, but I don't think she has any real print. I think that she is a. I think she's a bit of a sociopath, if I'm honest. I think that there is generally something wrong with her. I remember meeting. I said this on Unprecedented yesterday. Like I remember meeting Anna Breeze for the first time, and what a bizarre experience that was, let's say the least. And obviously, you know what happened. If long-term viewers of UNN understand, Anna Breeze was actually responsible for UNN getting into a bit of trouble. She essentially reported UNN because of hurty words. Basically, you lot in the chat, or whoever were basically. She used to go on UNN's Telegram a bit, like in the channel and comment. Like on UNN's Telegram channel. And basically, like the UNN audience just dogpiled on her, and then she blamed David for actions that he is not able to control, essentially. And she reported David to the what is it? The what are they called? Not a trade union, but yeah, it's a comedy classic. It certainly is, Alphabet Cat. Yeah, that Anna Breeze and David Clues interview. A regulator for independent news organizations, which I said to David, I said, what are we part of this for? We're paying people to tell us what to do, what we can and can't do. Obviously, I know why David did that 2 years ago, before the COVID era. He joined that in say 2017, let's say. And it's obviously, it looks professional, like it looks like, oh, we're a professional organization. We're part of whatever the organization was called. I can't remember, the regulator for independent journalist organizations, right? She then came on to UNN. I mean, I've met this woman. She is, in my personal opinion, again, this is not a factual statement, but in my personal opinion, she's not well. She really, it's not Ofcom. No. There's another regulator for independent journalists. She came on, and I think that interview is still on UNN's BitChute. We don't really use BitChute anymore, but I think that the UNN still does exist. The UNN channel still does exist on BitChute, and it's on there if people want to search back for it. In a search bar or whatever, but like she came on UNN, and wow, it was proper mask slip off moment. She just turned out to be a raging authoritarian, essentially, like you know what I mean, like, oh, threats of I'm going to go to the regulator, I'm going to do this, you're going to lose all this. It's mental. It was like in my opinion, like really just. I think essentially Candice Owen is just similar to this. She's I think that she doesn't have any real true principles. She doesn't have any like there is she'll follow a trend if it benefits her. Like she was on the kind what you would call the left. She was on the left side doing this whole racial. I'm a strong, independent black woman. White people are beating me up, sort of crap. Do you know what I mean? And I think this is all a lie. This is all a lie because it benefited her at the time. And then she saw a gap in the market in the sense, and then she jumped over the Turning Point USA, etc., Turning Point UK. She's kind of like she's dead. You look in those eyes, she's just dead on the inside. I think personally. And she'll just flip flop until I've met people like this, mate, in the past. Breeze being one of them, but it's various others I've met in the past as well, and it's scary. It's kind of worrying when you meet these people and you can see there's nothing going on inside. It's like one of those things that just gives you a chill. It's actually you guys probably know what I'm talking about. What's this? Oh, anyway, she claims she was stomped in her. Blah 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 blah. Owens asserts that they were jealous of her boyfriend and that their attack eventually stopped by the manager. She alleges that the girls were charged with breach of the peace, illegal restraint, and intimidation by bias and bigotry. These claims never appear in her books, despite numerous articles from 2008 to 2016 about her NAACP lawsuit, which again that's a black organization, isn't it? Set up by Jewish people, may I add, against the school. I can't find anywhere this alleged incident is mentioned. The claim suddenly emerges in 2023 when Vanity Fair profiles her. The story cites action by three girls, a lawyer, and the manager, but gives no names that could allow someone to verify the story. I don't think it happened. I think it's made up. February 2007, Owens and Evan Kopech, both students of Stanford High School in Stanford, wherever that state is, emerged in a screaming match. Engaged in a screaming match at school. Kopech has been described as her former boyfriend over the years. However, Kopech Kopech, you say? Owen says that Kopech masterminded a multi-person campaign of racial harassment, resulting in her getting voicemail messages of death threats and N-words. She accuses the police, the school, of protecting her perpetrators because she fingered the son of the mayor of Stanford. Well, oh my. The mayor's son said he did not know who Owens or Kopech were. The NAACP sued the school on behalf of Candice Owens. The continuation of that. No, I don't know what happened. 2008, the school district paid her. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is where the scam comes from. I think that she's a total con artist. She's an opportunist con artist. And the fact that she's making a true crimes drama mockery of a guy who died. I know some people go, oh, he didn't die. Well, it doesn't matter. Like she's still making like a grift off someone's death, whether it's real or not. And that's what I'm talking about. There's something wrong with this woman. She lacks morality. She's a bit of a sociopath, I think. The school district paid her $38,000 to drop the lawsuit, probably because it would have cost them much more to defeat the lawsuit in court. Stanford Mayor Daniel P. Malley went on to become the governor of Connecticut. No one ever admitted to any wrongdoing. Owen alleges that the event caused her to develop a severe eating disorder. 2009 to 2014, Owens enrolled at the University of Rhode Island, where she majored in journalism. She dropped out during her third year. She says college got her addicted to a Adderall, and it was too expensive. Afterwards, she alleges she worked as a Wall Street professional in Manhattan. Says she worked for Vogue magazine after dropping out of college. Then she says she was an administrative assistant's job in a private equities firm and was repeatedly promoted up the ladder to vice president of administration. Late 2015, Owens launched Degree 180, a left-wing girl boss website. It featured a varied, so this is going, oh, and now we're going to go into feminism because it benefits me in some way, right? It featured a variety of content, some of which is anti-Trump, anti-TEA, whatever that is, oh, anti-Tea Party, okay, anti-male, anti-white, anti-Gamergate, etc. It also featured articles about sex and celebrity gossip. Well, she is very much going on about the whole, it feels like a celebrity gossip thing, with the whole Macron thing. So what I don't trust about her as well, and I was talking about this yesterday on the show, is her bizarre marriage with George Farmer, or I should say the Honourable George Farmer, because that is actually his title, because his dad is in the House of Lords. And but therefore he gets that title too. Farmer was born in July 1990, to Michael Farmer. His father became a life peer, sits in the House of Lords. This gives George, as his son, the title of the Honourable. Farmer attended Oxford, which is a very big recruiter of MI6, MI5 personnel, where he engaged in the Green theology, where whilst there, he was a member of the Buddington Club, which is a very elite, it's basically the Scott and Crossbone Society in America. It's the equivalent of that almost. It's a private all-male dining club. Look at, I'm not being funny. George Farmer, from what I've seen him in videos, etc., he comes across to me as gay, at bare minimum. I think this is another Keir Starmer kind of situation, right? He's in a lavender marriage with Candace Owens because I think he is a state representative of intelligence, of the intelligence services. The intelligence services, Six Eyes relationship with the Anglo-Spear intelligence service plus Mossad, let's stick by. They have recognized that Candace Owen is a good grifter, a good con artist at the state, that the Six Eyes can basically use. And because Candace Owen, in my opinion, is some kind of sociopath con artist that has no real principles or morals, she's never walked back from the whole social autopsy program that she developed basically with other people, investors, etc., which basically is a social autopsy, is a doxing program, doxing software to find. So all of you that are using like different handles to, which is your right to do, like not use your real name, etc. The social autopsy would basically trace you to your IP address, blah blah blah, and all this, and just work out who you are. She's never walked back from that because she has no morals. She doesn't really care about freedom or any of the stuff that she talks about, the truth and all of that. She is a scam artist, right? Most scam artist people do not have morals. That's why they do what they do. That's why scam artists scam old ladies out of money. That because they have no morals, they are lacking something. They are sociopathic, one could say, right? George Farmer, I think, is gay. He is a representative of security services. They met. George Farmer and Candace Owens met at Turning Point UK, the launch of Turning Point UK, which I was there for. I didn't witness it. I didn't know who George Farmer was at this time. I don't know any of this thing. I don't even remember actually being there that well because it was so low testosterone. It was so weak, the whole launch and everything, that it was I barely even remember it. It was just another. It was all I remember was someone asking about Tommy Robinson. They were going, "Do you support Tommy Robinson?" And Candice Owens went, "No." That's all I remember. That's from Turning Point. His then fiance and now wife, they married. Let's just see. George Farmer, Candace Owens. Husband of Candace Owens, he was born in that, blah, 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 blah. His law is the son of a lord. Again, establishment, total establishment guy. It makes me laugh. She's trying to lead the sort of vanguard of I am counter-establishment. I'm going to get down to it. It's like, you are establishment, love. You are married to the establishment, right? You are married. Your father-in-law is a House of Lords member, right? That is caught up in all of this shady sort of stuff, especially her husband. Let's say he met Candice Owens at Turning Point UK in 2018 and proposed to her via FaceTime, equivalent to what I'm doing to you now, right? Same sort of thing. He proposed to her via FaceTime just 18 days after their first meeting. So they met at Turning Point UK's shitty launch, and then 18 days later, he proposed to her via a telephone screen, probably, or a laptop. That's not weird at all, is it? The couple married on August 31st, 2019, in Trump's winery a year later, and had 4 children together. This is the juicy bit now. Owens often refers to Farmer, her husband, as the Supreme Court, highlighting his significant influence over her work decisions and public appearances. The couple resides in Nashville, Tennessee, where they own multiple properties. So he gets the final say. George Farmer is her boss, essentially. Her husband is her boss. Or as I think more so, George Farmer is her handler, and he tells her what to put in and put out of the content. So for some strange reason, Candice Owens is going way too over the top with this, and I think that's being done on purpose by George Farmer, being directed by George Farmer, who I think is generally a spook. All the stuff he's been involved in. Farmer has built a career in finance and entrepreneurship, working as a hedge fund manager and co-founding the Bannon Group, a venture linked to former Trump advisor Steve Bannon. He served as CEO of Parler, a social media platform positioned as a free speech alternative from 2021, the platform's closure in 2023. He was also the former chairman of Turning Point UK, Nick Tenconi's thing as well, the British branch of the conservative youth wing of Turning Point USA, obviously attached to Charlie Kirk. Also, what's interesting, the reason why Parler had massive, it failed ultimately because Parler was basically the main platform for organizing the January the 6th Capitol Hill protests, or whatever you want to call it, where protesters were encouraged to storm the Capitol, and a lot of people got arrested for it. But what's interesting as well is that they were introduced by how they met. How they were introduced was from a guy called George Maplin. And George Maplin is the John Maplin is mentioned alongside Farmer and Owens in a photo from the launch of the Turning Point UK in September 2025, indicating his association with the organization. But they were introduced by John Maplin, and John Maplin is his family. The Maplin family have a jewelry, basically they're jewelers, and they are responsible for literally the British crown jewels in this country. So there's a royal connection as well to all of this. And when you see Candice Owens's shows, she goes on about, again, sensationalism. Again, George Farmer has the final say on this. Hey, George, do you think that I should go on the show and start saying that, start telling people about the dreams I've had of Charlie Kirk and how I've seen him in a dream and he's speaking to me via dream, saying that I got to solve the Scooby-Doo mystery of how I was killed and all of that. And you would think if he's the Supreme Court, if he's the final word of, do you think that's a good idea? Surely it would be no. But he's greenlit this. He's greenlit this, right? And what it reminded me of when I was hearing all this stuff about Candace Owens saying that she's seeing Charlie Kirk in her dreams and they're communicating via the dream world. It reminded me of, again, the royal connection. It reminded me of Princess Diana's butler, Paul Barrow, where he also was stating that he was seeing Princess Diana in dreams. Paul Barrow, Princess Diana's former royal butler, has stated he believes Princess Diana visits him in dreams and speaks to him. He described these experiences as regular occurrences, not frightening or delusional, but simply happening involuntarily. Barrow said he often dreams of apartments 8 and 9 in Kensington Palace, where Diana lived her death in 97, and that the details of the room, including the locations and the possessions like cashmere sweaters and her desk, are vividly remembered. I mean, that's quite a coincidence, isn't it? Candace Owens. Is there a clip of it?
She actually said this on camera, that Charlie Kirk came to her in a dream.
Like I just said, had a vivid dream this weekend, and Charlie came to me and he told me that he was betrayed. And so for me, you don't have to believe that, but I do believe that. And it was the immediate sense I got, actually. And
I think this woman is an absolute con artist grifter. I think you look at those eyes. I think that she has managed to work her way up the grifter ladder. She's been the establishment via the British intelligence services has recognized that she is a good grifter, and she'll be a good asset to them. And they have quickly proposed a marriage, which, and then 18 days later, he has proposed to her via social media, essentially. And now she's basically worked her way to the top in that regard. And whenever I just look at things like this, I think that she is a very, how can I say it, a very deprived degenerate with no morals at all. Like, I think there is generally like an illness in her. There's something wrong with her. So, like I say, it's worrying. I do think ultimately that Charlie Kirk was indeed assassinated by the state of Israel, but the way that she's going about it, turning it into some fucking drama, into some soap opera or whatever, is I think it's disgusting. And Paul Barrow did the same as well. I remember, he was plugging books, buy my new books, like the Holocaust guy, or me mum, me dad, as Nick Fuentes says, I don't know anyone who would use the Holocaust as a tool to advance whatever it was. And then a minute later, buy my book. It's about the Holocaust. Me mum, me dad. Paul Barrow was doing the same. It's all about plugging a book, isn't it? It's always about plugging something, isn't it? Like with these people. Details of the room, including that. Diana sometimes asks for help, expressing a cry of assistance, just like Charlie Kirk in Candice's dream, whilst the other times they share laughter and conversation. He recounted her asking, "Where are you going? When are you going to tell what? When are you going to tell them, Paul, that I'm not actually dead? When are you going to tell the world that I'm still here?" To which he responds, "We'll put it off for another day. They're not ready for it. We'll wait." Burr also shared that he hoped Diana would give her blessing to his decision to marry his boyfriend, Graham Cooper. "I think Graham Farmer is gay, just like Paul Barrow. But since she is not physically present, he relies on these dreams encounters for comfort. He acknowledged the existence as unnerving, but he has learnt to embrace it, stating he can hear her laughter and feel her presence.
I don't know who exactly it is that betrayed him, but I also felt in the dream that it is soon going to be revealed, that it's actually inevitable that it is going to be revealed, that there is nothing and no one that is going to stop the truth from coming out, and it is going to have international consequences.
She actually said this on camera.
Anyway, guys, I'm going to head off. Jogger Dindu, please do tell me. He probably said it 10,000 times, but obviously I've been doing this. So please do drop your suggestion in, and I'm gonna head off. Thank you. This has been a long show. Wow, it's just been 3 hours. Wow. Yeah, I think that, yeah, it's a big club, mate. I'm telling you, I think that's how you get into the club. You just got to grift your way in there. And that's why all these people, like, come Saturday, mate. Come Saturday, and we part. And if the march is going to pass through, like those the Tommy Brigade grifters, the bottom feeders, they're all grifters, mate. I'm telling you. But I've got quite a good sense to this. Like I had a dream. No, but I know I can just like in the past when I've worked along with people, and there's been new kind of people that I've worked with, and you just I just know that someone is basically, how can I say, is bullshitting me. I'll just know. Do you know what I mean? And I'm usually right, because then they won't turn up for work again or whatever. They'll pretend to be all interested. I remember this one guy. He was just, I could tell it was all just a grift. He was basically pretending to be keen on the job. He was asking loads of questions, but to cover up, you know what I mean, to make him seem like that he's keen. And I remember saying to one of my colleagues, Ben, and because they all thought, oh, he's so keen, he's asking so many questions. I said, that's just to cover up. That's just to cover up, like his grift or whatever. He's not going to come back. And he didn't. I remember, like, he didn't. He did it. He worked for a few days, and I said, this guy, he's a wrong one, mate. I can tell you right now. He's probably stealing stuff as well. We never know, because obviously the nature of that particular job, you don't know if he did or not. But yeah, it's just I can see through these people. I know when someone's grifting me, or at least trying to grift me. It's my special power. Yeah, I'm sorry. What was it on D Live? What was it? Yeah, it's my spidey sense, etc. Exactly. Situation. Don't know what that is. Let's put that in. Right, cool. I'm gonna go. Thank you all for watching, guys. Oh wait, that's not the video. Does it have a video? Does it have a video? Cool, it does. Right. Guys, thank you all for watching. Please do support UNN. Please do sign up to be a regular member. I won't promote the raffle, because I have no idea how that actually works. But please do become a regular member. If you do, go onto UNN. I've got a regular deal that supportunn.co.uk. That's even still a real website. I have no idea. I'm sure it is, because it's obviously been a new thing put up. Yeah, please do support us. David back on Friday. I'm back obviously on Wednesday, but I do a show for Unprecedented on Tuesdays during the daytime. So thanks all for watching and take care, guys. Have a good weekend. If people are going to be in London on Saturday, if you happen to see me, come out and say hello. And I'll also be if people are getting Monday a day early or live in London, I will be in the Baker Street Weatherspoons on Friday evening with a whole bunch of other sort of like people who attend that every Friday. But because I'll be in London, I'll be in Baker Street Weatherspoons. I think David Clues has gone there a couple of times. People remember that's where he's gone before in the past to meet. So every Friday they have a little freedom meet up with about 20 people, whatever, 20, 30 people. So yeah, I'll be there Friday. And then on Saturday, obviously during the day for that ID thing. And we can see the clown show if we're going past. We see all the Tommy lot and they're doing the Christian grift, because obviously you make a lot of money on a Christian grift. But anyway, take care, guys. Have a good evening.